Hours away from the closing of the NFL trade deadline, will Howie Roseman make a move? We are staying with you through it. Zach Berman, Fran Duffy in studio. Coming up next on the PHLY Eagles Podcast, Trade Deadline Spectacular. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles Podcast on a Tuesday afternoon, presented by the good folks at Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Use code PHLY when you sign up. They got us covered. 2 hours to go until the NFL trade deadline closes. The Eagles have not yet made a move, but there has been a flurry of activity today. Yep. 5 moves so far. We'll talk about those. We're going to dive deep into the tape from the Eagles' nail-biting win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Plenty to get to on the show today, gentlemen. Fran, Zach, how you doing?
Doing great. Got out and voted today. Obviously, everybody that's watching, make sure you go out.
Somebody wants to talk politics all of a sudden.
I think that's an important way to start the show. Go out, whoever you want to vote for, you do it, but go out and vote.
I don't necessarily agree. But go ahead, Zach.
I voted this morning. I went to hear the coordinator speak. And this is the highlight of my day now, being with you guys and Julia and speaking about the trade deadline, the film, and all that's going on with the Eagles.
Who do you think the coordinators voted for?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think you can tell. I don't know.
I have no idea how that would go. It's a good question.
Yeah, that could have been the question today, but
I'm sure that would have gone over well.
Yeah. I mean, Vic would have given you an answer.
I don't know, actually. I don't know if Vic would have.
He gives an answer to everything.
Yeah. Vic Fangio did say today, similar to what Nick Sirianni said the other night, that the reason why Bryce Huff didn't play was because of, or didn't play much, was because of a wrist injury that flared up before the game. He said they didn't really need him as the game was going on, and that when Bryce Huff is healthy, he'll kind of play his normal role. We really don't know what that normal role is. We'll see if that role is still with the team after today. Also, Vic said he hasn't been told of any deals yet, so we'll see.
We start with a super chat from Jason. Zach, he wants to know what time is the ZB election show tonight. He forgot.
No, this is my show today. This is my show today. And I if you ask Emily, I fell asleep watching West Wing last night. I was binging that again, so kind of put me in the mood, if you will.
We'll have that ad later.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Getting early, getting ahead of the ad reads today.
Jeez, Emily knows how to pick them. All right, let's. We're going to get into the film, and you have done your deep dive, Fran. But let's quickly start with the action across the NFL today, as we await to see if the Eagles do something here. The biggest move made inside the division by the Washington Commanders, looking to fortify their secondary. They trade a 2025 third, fourth, and sixth to the Saints in exchange for Marshon Lattimore and a 2025 fifth-round pick. What do you make of it, Fran?
I like the trade for Washington. You gave up a decent amount, but not a ton for a guy that still has the ability to play as a high-level corner in this league. When I look back at Trayvon Diggs and some of his peaks with the Dallas Cowboys under Dan Quinn, I think structurally he can be used schematically a lot of the same ways as what you see with Lattimore, where he can be an island corner, one-on-one, a ton of man coverage. He's a ball-hawking corner. A lot of the things that Dan Quinn will ask his corners to do, I think really fits really well for Marshon Lattimore. Now, Health has been a concern with him. He's missed multiple games each of the last few seasons. So if he can stay healthy, I really like that fit for Washington. It also allows Benjamin St-Juste to kind of slide to be like that next corner. I like
friend from Montreal.
Yeah,
Benjamin
I like
St-Juste.
So I think I like the move for Washington, a team that clearly is trying to push their chips in and sees an opportunity here to win the NFC East.
And Lattimore, not super old.
28.
No. Yeah. So, interesting move. And you wonder if it's the kind of thing that Howie feels like he has to respond to in some degree. Also, obviously, they're giving up a third. They got a third from the Eagles for Jahan Dotson.
Yeah, so they had some extra assets to be able to toy with there. But I do like the fit there for Lattimore in the Dan Quinn defense.
What does this mean for your boy, Zach?
Emmanuel Forbes,
Yeah.
you mean?
Oh, yeah.
I think the writing was on the wall already for Emmanuel Forbes. But look, Eagles Commanders, it's 9 days away right now, right? So this is a move that definitely affects the Eagles. And I should also say, since we spoke yesterday, the news came out, and I was able to confirm it that Ajayi Brown is day to day. But day to day doesn't necessarily mean he's playing Sunday, so we'll see that. But the reason I bring that up in conjunction with Lattimore is it's a quick turnaround to that Thursday night game. So when you talk about Lattimore and St-Juste going up against DeVonta Smith and potentially Ajayi Brown, that's going to be a big-time matchup. And Bo mentioned whether this affects Howie. I'm not of the opinion that you need to react to another team making a move, right? You should make a move if you feel your roster needs an upgrade. But it is worth noting the two best teams by record in the NFC, the Lions and the Commanders, both made notable moves today.
That's a good point.
There you go. Well, let's talk about that Lions move then. Trading for Zadarius Smith, a player that we talked about as a potential edge option from the Cleveland Browns. They get Zadarius Smith and a 7th in 2026 in exchange for a 5th this year and a 6th in 26. What do you think of that one, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about Smith last week. Like you said, he's showing more juice this season than Robert Quinn did when the Eagles acquired Quinn. But I view it,
I mean, so is Thomas Jefferson.
I view it from a similar perspective of you're trading for someone with obviously pedigree, like name recognition here, who has proven he can get to the quarterback. He's proven it for 2 different NFC North teams, now a 3rd NFC North team. He also proved it for an AFC South team, 2 AFC North teams as well. So he does like the North, huh? 2 AFC North teams, 3 NFC North teams now in his career. Probably the best edge rusher that's going to be moved. I don't anticipate Myles Garrett or Max Crosby being moved. We'll see if Bryce Huff is moved. But Zadarius Smith, the Lions needed an edge rusher after losing Aiden Hutchinson. This has been rumored, the Lions and Smith, for like 3 weeks. They finally got it done. It hasn't affected the Lions in the past few weeks, but this is absolutely a move that could help a team that I think is the clear favorite right now in the NFC.
Yeah, it's obviously one that everyone's been talking about for the last couple of weeks as a potential possibility since that Hutchinson injury. And I think when you look at Smith, he definitely fits like ideologically with everything that the Detroit Lions kind of stand for in terms of like that toughness and competitiveness. He plays with that edge. And so I think it makes a lot of sense for a team that is clearly also trying to take that next step and be that upper echelon team, not just in the NFC, but the favorites potentially to win the Super Bowl. You want to put your chips in, and if that means acquiring an older player, I think that makes sense.
Some more super chats from Chase Daniel Plainview. He says, should the Eagles bring in new free agent Rich Scangarello as a consultant? He could bring fresh play action concepts. Also, he's worked with Vic Fangio. I mean, the Eagles are going to have to find a wedding venue if they're going to bring in Scango because they got the marriage they run on the pass.
You love that joke there, huh? Yeah. It didn't work in 2020. It didn't work where Scangarello went thereafter, including Kentucky, including the Raiders. So I don't anticipate the Eagles bringing in Scangarello.
Dean says, ZB, your election live stream, is it for diehards only?
There's no election live stream. I will be working on a story tonight for diehards while the election coverage is on in the background.
Okay. There's no way for people to watch that? You watching?
No, there's no way for people to watch that. No.
Okay. All right. Do that. And then another super chat from Andrew says, I don't think it's controversial to ask people to not vote for the convicted felon. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Also, go Birds. You know what, Andrew? Preach.
I'm staying away from that one. I'm staying away.
No arguments.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could have said a lot of things there.
Yep.
I think you took it easy, Andrew. 3 other trades. A crazy one in the division, the Dallas Cowboys, considering the price of Jahan Dotson, but also DeAndre Hopkins and some of these other players, including Zadarius Smith, they're trading a 4th-round pick for Jonathan Mingo and a 7th-round pick from the Carolina Panthers, who has done very little since being a 2nd-round pick last year.
That one shocked me, just because we've seen very little from Jonathan Mingo so far in the NFL.
Zach, did you like him coming out?
I actually didn't love him coming out. I mean, the athletic profile I liked, but he wasn't like crazy productive at Ole Miss.
I was going to look and see where I had him back last year.
He was second team all SEC, so he wasn't like a standout player. Never had a 1,000-yard season. Was a 4-year player there. So yeah, I mean,
very very odd trade from the Cowboys.
But they clearly liked him coming out, right? That's yes. One of those deals where you rely on the draft grade. You're not necessarily looking at. You're saying it's been a messy situation in Carolina. He's had 3 different head coaches now, including an interim coach, right? And so you go based on your draft eval. If you evaluated him as a 2nd-round pick a year ago, and now you get him for a 4th-round pick, that's their rationalization. It's not to say it was good value, though.
He was my wide receiver 17 last year.
Guy really?
I was
good for you.
I gave him a backup grade. I did not see a player that was ready to step in and have that kind of an impact. I thought he was a ways away, and clearly, so what we've seen so far is that he's a player that is still a ways away from having that consistent level of impact. Now, he's going to have opportunity here in Dallas, and we'll see if he's able to make up for it. They have had a thing for like the big like height, weight, speed receivers when you look at who they've drafted in recent years. But yeah, Mingo, that one surprised me with what they gave up for him.
Zach, I wonder what you think of this, because I don't believe that you live your life this way. Somebody says almost all of us would be convicted felons if we had our lives looked into as much as he had. I don't know if that's the case for Zack Berman.
Yeah, I can assure you. I can assure you, I am a law-abiding citizen. Right? Yeah.
What kind of life is that guy living?
Yeah. I mean, maybe like just
involuntary manslaughter every day on the way home. Like that's his commute.
Yeah. No.
What kind of life is that?
Yeah. No. I promise you. Maybe there's time when I'm going like 74 in a 65 zone, but that's
not, you do more than that.
That's not a felony. That's yeah. So that's just like a speeding ticket.
A couple points on your license.
Yeah.
Yikes. Also, Steelers trading for Mike Williams for a 5th-round pick, and the Bengals adding Khalil Herbert for a 7th-round pick. So nothing too crazy on those. Do you think we're going to get action from the Eagles?
Well, I just want to say I like that Bengals deal.
I like a Herbert.
Well, also because it sounds like Zach Moss is going to miss extended time.
Yeah, they said Chase Brown, the regular season, probably.
Yeah, Chase Brown's been playing well, but that's a team that has a good offense, but they need more than one guy in the running game. Herbert has shown that he can be productive. A 7th-round pick is a very small price to pay, I think, for a young player who can combine with Chase Brown to give you some production there.
And for a team with a staff that's kind of backs against the wall right now in Cincinnati, all pressure's on for them to continue to try and mount wins here as they took a bunch of losses early on in this season.
All right. You ready to talk?
But the Mike Williams deal, I actually think for the Steelers, they need wide receiver help.
Yep.
I mean, and
it seems fine.
Yeah. Now they're taking on some money there, right?
Yep.
They give a 5th rounder and take on some money. There are other wide receivers who've been moved, but the Steelers are a team that has a good record. Russell Wilson's been playing well, and they need some size at a wide receiver other than George Pickens. There's a lot of Calvin Austin out there. They put Roman Wilson on the IR, so I like them adding somebody.
Do you think we're going to get an Eagles move?
Well, I think Howie actually thinks in a similar vein to what you've expressed, Bo, going back to last year when we did a trade deadline show, which is teams are paying a premium at the deadline. You can get better value during the offseason. Howie tends to be a value-based shopper, but I do think he's going to be calling around. Where would you think it would be? Do you think edge rusher? Do you think I still think linebacker depth. They're getting good production from their linebackers. Their backup linebackers are Jeremiah Trotter and Oren Burks. I suppose Van Sumeren as well. If there's an injury to Dean, if there's an injury to Baun, it affects you there. But because Devin White was supposed to be in that mix, right?
Yeah, but you think if they really, really felt like they needed that depth, would they have just let Devin White go? They just think that he was garbanzo beans?
That's my guess, yeah. But it's a good point. I still think edge rusher is the biggest need.
I think it's the most likely.
Yeah.
But it probably would have to be in conjunction with some kind of decision.
I would think so. To me, like trading for a Zadarius Smith type doesn't make sense if Bryce Hoff's still on the roster.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You have grinded that sweet tape.
Well, grinded.
Grundle.
I don't think that's it.
Okay. Let's start on the offense. Now, there's a story up on allphly.com now. Fran's film review of the offense.
Yep.
A game in which the Eagles probably, like points-wise, underperformed their production, under the hood, and maybe didn't get as much out of the level of dominance they had up front. But let's give me your top-down 10,000-foot takeaway, and then we'll get into the weeds drive by drive.
I think you set that up well in terms of basically the way I led the story off was that this was a weird game to go back and watch because it was a tight on the scoreboard, and obviously it's fourth quarter, it's a close game. But when we're getting ready for the post-game show, you go back through the box score and you see like the level of dominance and the success that the Eagles had through the air. It was an efficient day for Jalen Hurts. The ball didn't hit the ground all that much. Saquon Barkley had explosive plays. Jalen Hurts had explosive plays down the field. And then you go back through the film and you're like, yeah, they were able to move the ball. To me, Jalen did not play particularly great, especially in the first half. I thought that he bounced back nicely in the second half, and we'll get into some of the reasons why. But I think that overall, the offensive line had their way with Jacksonville. Pass protection was once again outstanding. The run blocking was outstanding. Saquon was great. And we saw the big plays down the field. And I think that's a winning formula, certainly, for this side of the ball.
You have anything to say?
No, I'm interested in this conversation. I felt my phone vibrate, okay. And I wondered if there was a deal, but there was not.
No such deal?
No, it was.
We're going to get a Zack type moment here?
Right.
No, but actually, Diana, our friend Diana Rossini, so our friend Ben Solak says 2 hours left on the deadline. I need a crazy rumor. I need a false trade report. I need an out-of-nowhere bomb. Feed my content. And Diana writes, open my drafts folder. And when I see that, it's like, God, I wish I could see that drafts folder, right? I want to know what she's hearing.
That's an interesting way to go about it, I guess. I mean, that's some interesting reporting tofu sausage getting made, but you pre-write out the drafts?
She had said that on one of the first podcasts that they did this summer with her and Chase Daniel, that she has all of that set up, so then that way if something happens in the middle of the night, that she can then just literally just double check it and hit send.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, so
it feels like it would take, to me, as much time to comb through the drafts as it would to just type it out. But obviously, she's the pro. Okay. All right, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to get into the drive-by-drive review of the Eagles' offense. Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide, and they live stream over 780,000 events each year with early payout offers across the NBA, NFL, NHL, and MLB. Bet365 pioneered live in-game betting, and today they offer the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Use the code PHLY365 to sign up, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $200 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. They've got hockey, basketball, baseball, same-game parlays, early payouts, all kinds of stuff that's going to put a little extra cash in your pocket if you think you know what's going on and you turn out to be right. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Well, everybody has a specialty that they love. For some, might be shopping for vests. For others, it might be setting up cameos with D-list celebrities. For others, it's making crazy one-handed catches or maybe even jumping over other men butt first in the middle of a football game. Well, at Rothman Orthopedics, we know what their specialty is because their physicians are not only specialized in orthopedics and clinical research, but they are fellowship trained to treat specific areas of the body. Since 1970, their physicians have remained committed to research, innovation, and minimally invasive procedures to get you back to where you are and with what you specialize in. They are Rothman Orthopedics, and they specialize in you. Rothman's 200-plus fellowship-trained physicians specialize in specific areas of the body and multitude of orthopedic services, including hip, knee, spine, shoulder and elbow, foot and ankle, hand and wrist, sports medicine, physical medicine and rehabilitation, orthopedic oncology, and trauma and fracture care. Rothman proudly serves dozens of communities across Pennsylvania and New Jersey with over 30 convenient offices, urgent care, and walk-in centers. Year over year, Rothman consistently performs among the highest volume of hip, knee, shoulder, and ankle replacements in the country, over 60,000. Now, my mom is actually 12 months removed from double knee replacement. Ooh. A year ago at this time, she was laid up in between surgeries, and this spring, she was gallivanting across Italy with her friends, walking the countryside with not a care in the world. And I know she can thank the folks at Rothman for that, absolutely. So for more than 50 years, Rothman has participated in hundreds of groundbreaking research and clinical trials with the goal of advancing knowledge, developing treatments, and improving outcomes for the benefits of their patients. Specialized in orthopedics and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today.
All right. First drive for the Eagles, Fran.
Okay.
It turns out to be a 6-and-out.
Yes.
But it seemed like maybe a more well-intentioned plan than we've seen in the past couple of weeks. Now, we saw throughout the first quarter a bunch of different formations, a bunch of different personnel groupings, a lot of motion, some under-center stuff. It didn't necessarily stay that way for the whole game, but it seemed very clear that the Eagles were trying to learn something in that first couple drives.
Yeah, I mean, just from those first 6 plays, you saw 5 different personnel groupings, and I think it might even have been 6 different personnel groupings when you change out the receivers in 11 personnel. But
they kept flopping Wilson and Dotson.
Yeah, Wilson played a lot of snaps in this game, but very first play you saw under
he was their third receiver, it seemed like.
Johnny Wilson. Yeah, I think so. I think, and with the AJ Brown injury, I think getting him up to speed, I think it's going to be really important for this offense. But the very first play you saw Ben Van Sumeren, that 21 personnel out on the field. They went under center, play action, pass down the field to A.J. Brown.
It was there. It could have been picked, though.
It was there,
overthrown.
Yes. It was a bad ball. Jalen sailed it. He was lucky it was not picked off by the free safety. They went 12 personnel the next play. Then you had 2 straight snaps of 11, but with 2 different receiver combinations there in 11 personnel. Then you had a pony set with 2 running backs in the backfield, then back to another. Then you had a 13 personnel set on third down. And so you saw all the different personnel groupings there, changing things up. It was pretty evenly split between run and pass. They ran a tackle over play on that final play. So they were mixing and matching different things. It's funny, you mentioned the motion. They were back up. They were at 62% motion in this game. So above average number for the week. That would be right around middle of the pack for the NFL this season. So that's the second week in a row where we've seen motion really come back into the lives of the Eagles offense. But that final play, that 3rd and 2 run.
This is very interesting. You have this in the story on allphly.com. 3rd and 2 from the Eagles 48.
Yes. And
Gainwell gets stopped for 1 yard. Why did that happen?
Basically, when they ran motion, they brought the tight end across the formation, and when they did that, the linebackers bumped down. I didn't grab screen grabs for this one, but because we've got a lot of plays to get to from the screen grab standpoint. But
we got time.
Yeah, that's true. When they brought the motion man across, the linebackers changed their alignment, and that messed with the blocking assignments for the guys up front along the offensive line, and so you had them being able to attack downhill. Now, the one adjustment that I saw them make. Basically, Saquon Barkley's running to the right on that play. Or actually, it was Kenny Gainwell. Kenny Gainwell's running to the right on that play. The motion man also coming to the right, so it brought the linebackers that way. Mm-hmm. Go to I think it was the second to last drive, the DeVonta Smith touchdown drive. Saquon Barkley, first play, was from the minus 11-yard line, 21 yards, shot out of a cannon, gets right downhill. It was inside zone. The motion man went away from the direction of the run. The linebackers were going away the opposite direction, and they ran that way. So a little bit of a tweak there that helped them out.
I wanted to ask you guys, Barkley carried the ball 3 of those previous 4 plays, but do you object to Gainwell being the ball carrier on 3rd and 2?
I think they have to.
They got to do it at some point.
They have to give Gainwell carries just to try and save.
But you wouldn't rather like a 1st and 10, like a 3rd and 2 is a money down.
Yeah.
I mean, you hope that he can get 2 yards there.
Yeah.
But what are you laughing at?
Money down. But
you're laughing at money down?
No, it's fine.
It's a football.
That's what I'm laughing
guy
at.
term. Yes, the football guy term of the money down.
Yeah, third down.
Yeah, you're right.
Third down,
You're
20
right.
down.
You're
We
right.
talked
You're
about
right.
third down a lot.
Yes, but I think.
Do you think would you rather
Can't
it be Shipley?
No, I'd rather that be Barkley. Is my point, right? I mean, I would rather like on a high leverage play give the ball to Saquon Barkley. Now, you should be confident that if Kenny Gainwell is your number 2 back, if Will Shipley's in there, they can get 2 yards on a 3rd and 2. I get that. I want Saquon Barkley carrying the ball on 3rd down.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to. Yeah, he can't get the ball every time.
I understand that,
but I
but
understand
yeah.
what you're saying. But there's also a give and take of if we have Gainwell on the field, maybe they're going to think we're going to
Sure.
run it less, and maybe that makes it.
But I'm saying, so if Barkley gets 3 yards there, put Gainwell on the field for a fresh set of downs.
Yeah,
Right.
And then I thought it was interesting. What did you make of the first tush push of the game? 4th and 1, they line up there when after Gainwell gets stuffed, and they get the false start, but they also weren't going to do the tush push on that one. Did you think that they were aware of the fact that the Jags might have a different plan for them?
Hey, I mean, it certainly seemed that way because there were a couple times. The one that was that came back on the false start, and then the other was on the that happened later on where they ran the fake tush push in the middle of the field. So clearly they thought Jacksonville might have a little bit of a beat on it. I think Jacksonville was trying some tactics. I don't think we've seen other teams do the thing with the linebackers behind the defensive line and trying to push them forward. I think that is a better way to try and attack it than what we've seen with linebackers jumping over the pile because they end up just jumping over Jalen Hurts. But I think that clearly going into this one, they were a little bit worried about the effectiveness of the tush push.
All right, so then Sidney Brown makes the big play on special teams.
Great play.
Eagles get the ball, 1st and 10 on the 20. They pull out the long-awaited pass to Ben Van Sumeren for no gain, and then they throw the touchdown pass to Saquon Barkley.
Yes, and we can go. First of all, I will say I think they're excited about what they can do with Van Sumeren in space a little bit. I think there's a little bit what was in the summer there's some buzz on
palpable buzz
on Ben Van Sumeren. I think
Am I wrong?
I think there's some excitement there about what they can do with trying to get him the football. Obviously that one went for no gain. He was tackled right away.
That was a weird play. I didn't know what they were trying to accomplish with that play.
I think they were trying to set up the play action play later because that was the action that they ran on the DeVonta Smith 46-yard.
Oh, there you go.
They had EJ Jenkins in that role instead of Van Sumeren. So I think that's what they were trying to set up with that one. But we can go to our first set of screen grabs, and that was the post wheel, the touchdown to Saquon Barkley. And this is an outstanding throw, really good concept here from the Eagles. So that would be offense 1, shot 1. So that's the Saquon touchdown. And basically what you got here from the Philadelphia Eagles, from the Jaguars, it looks like it's going to be cover 1. It looks like it's going to be man coverage. And you can see that they're bringing Jahan Dotson in motion before the snap. And the ironic part about this motion is that Jacksonville, they change up their coverage because you can see that you've got the post safety in the middle of the field. Julia, if you go to the next shot, you could see that rather than someone running with Jahan Dotson across the width of the field, they actually take that safety, and so he actually is going to pick up Dotson. Now, usually when this happens, somebody else runs to the post to replace the safety. Jacksonville didn't do that. So basically, what happened was the corner that was lined up over the number 1 receiver, he just bumped down over the next receiver, and the safety picked up Saquon Barkley out of the backfield. It was going to be a linebacker. So they actually got a more favorable matchup, Jacksonville, going up against Saquon Barkley. Instead of it being Devin Lloyd in space, it was going to be Darnell Savage, the safety. So you can go to the next one here, Julia. And so now you've got the post route from Calcaterra. He's running out in the middle of the field, and you've got that isolated matchup. Jalen, it could stand a reason. He could say, I don't know if I still like this, but he ends up throwing it. And Julia, you can go to the next one. It's a great ball. It's an outstanding ball. And what's really funny about this is that Saquon just blows right by Savage, really clean, nice release, getting through the contact. Savage immediately is looking for a flag, asking for a push off. There was no push off whatsoever. I also love the fact that
Calcaterra's
got his arms
so
up.
Good,
outstanding. The ball hasn't even started descending yet.
He knows.
He does the great. One of my favorite moves on a football field is not watching the play behind you, but looking up to the board and watching it on the scoreboard. And so he's able to finish. It was a great ball, outstanding catch from Saquon there, and it results in 6 points. Their first points of the first quarter of the season.
Saquon said that's his least favorite catch to make.
That's a tough catch.
Yeah, he was talking about the degree of difficulty on that. And is that because you don't see it like you see it late, or
I mean, the whole idea of trying to look that in over the shoulder. You know, I think the point was made on the broadcast about how hard that was going to be a tough throw for Dearness Johnson on the Nakobe Dean wheel route at the end of the game, because running backs aren't used to trying to attack the back shoulder. To me, like the over the shoulder catch is harder for a back, just because you're very rarely asked to do that in that scenario. Yeah,
heck of a play. All right, third drive. Eagles are backed up, and this is a drive that stalls out. It's a 3-and-out thanks to the sack on second down of Jalen Hurts. What happened on the sack?
Yeah, so basically on this one, this one was a tough one to watch. I don't have the screen grabs on it, but basically they're in man-to-man coverage, and they're running a play that's called Hoss, where it's actually, I can remember this was Carson Wentz's first touchdown ever for the Eagles was this play. Jordan Matthews running the slot fade out of the side. So you have two slot fades, and you have two hitch routes on the outside. Jalen starts to one side. He's a little bit late getting over to the other side. Becton got beat early on. So Becton gets beat fast, and then Fred Johnson kind of loses. I think they credited Fred Johnson with the sack, but to me, I look at this as Mekhi Becton gave up early pressure. That forced Jalen Hurts off of his spot.
It looked like he could have had AJ on this one.
Yeah, I think that you would make that argument.
Right?
I didn't think that Jalen was perfect. He was a little bit slow, kind of getting through the progression on this one, but I think the pressure had more to do with it than anything else. So yeah, that ends up being a sack for Josh Hines.
And listen, we will get to some of the aversions to throwing over the middle of the field.
Yep.
But we suppose that maybe there is something to do with like the height of the offensive lineman and Jalen Hurts' height, but just think about it. If Mekhi Becton, of all people, is getting pushed back into your field of vision, I would imagine it makes it tough to see.
Yeah, the vision thing is tough. And it's interesting because he brought it up, right, about the throw to DeVonta, and that's like outside the numbers, really far away, to the opposite sideline. I couldn't tell you what the reluctance is to the middle of the field. I don't know if it's height related or if it's just like, hey, like I just don't like throwing to that area. But obviously there are issues there, as we'll see in some of the screen grabs.
I also think there's now this doesn't speak to the long time trend of this, but I do know Jalen right now is hyper aware of avoiding turnovers, and that's a major talking point from the coaching staff, from him. And so you're more apt to turn the ball over if you throw it in the middle of the field than you throw it to the sideline.
Yep, I think that's true.
On Becton, I do feel like we see this, often is probably overstating it, but a good amount. Like, he does get pushed back in pass pro. Is it as easy as saying that right now Becton versus Tyler Steen, Becton is the better run blocker, Steen is the better pass blocker?
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to kind of summarize it. Becton, I think he just has problems with dropping his anchor. He's so big and so strong that he's still tough to run through, but because he doesn't drop his anchor at all and plays a little bit too high sometimes, that's where bull rushers can kind of get the best of him. It's similar in ways to what I've said about Fred Johnson and some of the issues that he has had doing that same thing, dealing with some of those bull rushes. Also, sometimes Becton can be late to react to those inside moves, and so teams can kind of get the edge on him that way inside.
All right, next drive for the Eagles is a long one.
Yes.
A 15-play drive that ends in the Jake Elliott field goal.
Yep.
What are the highlights of this drive for you?
So this was the first play. We see DeVonta Smith in the backfield, and they do a little motion where they're basically going to run an inside zone play to Saquon Barkley on an RPO that picks up 7 yards. They ran out of that look. They had 4 plays with DeVonta Smith in the backfield. The first 3 were runs. That was the longest one. And then the fourth time they ran DeVonta a little Texas route out of the backfield, nearly picked off.
Yes.
We'll get to it a little bit later in the game. But they ran that 4 times out of that look. We saw a 20-yarder to A.J. Brown. Now, that was interesting because it's 3rd and 3. And they're running a version of their mesh play because they're expecting man-to-man coverage. And so they're running mesh. Now, typically in mesh content, it's going to be a short throw. It's going to be one of those shallow crosses. Maybe it's something out of the backfield. We've covered this a couple weeks. Jalen did not look at the mesh stuff. He's looking outside to A.J. Brown, who is running like this deep, kind of like an over and back, like deeper corner route, a longer developing play. It's 3rd and 3. He ends up winning. AJ wins on 3rd and 3, but a difficult throw, 18 yards down the field on a corner route when you had that mesh concept going. So they're able to move the chains there. That was certainly, I think that was the longest play of the drive. Saquon had an 11-yarder on an inside zone play. There was a nice run. But the big one was the second play of the second quarter. that is the Saquon backwards hurdle. So we can get into to what we saw there.
I heard about that play.
Yeah, we may have seen pictures of it. There's the outstanding video.
How good
that's
is that
out there
video?
today. I mean, so good from the sideline view, being able to see all the players.
Do you like Blankenship's reaction, Goddard's reaction, or Jordan Davis's reaction?
Jordan Davis' reaction gets me every time. It's very, very funny, but all of them are really good.
I like Goddard's too. Yeah. I mean, Blankenship's is great. It's awesome.
But like, it's so cool to see. Like,
yeah, I mean,
that's the reaction that other freak professional athletes have watching Saquon play. Like, that's awesome.
It's like the dunk contest.
Right.
When the dunk contest is good, like to see the most impressive athletes in the world blown away by something one of them is doing is always very cool.
And the difference, of course, is that in the dunk contest, like, it's planned, right?
Yes.
This is like the fact that he does that spontaneously. And when I watched it back, the thing that jumps out to me too, if it was just a spin move, you're like, that's right. Nice.
Yep.
If it was just a cut, you're like, all right, that was a good cut too. But all three in conjunction, like the reason why his back was there was from the spin move. That was really impressive. And did I say this on our show or on Anthony's show yesterday? But I did get to see that Penn State Iowa clip from his sophomore year.
Yeah.
And I put that out on a loyal viewer listener. Sent me the clip. I put it out on social.
Nice. And
I agree with what Saquon said. It's not nearly as cool as this one.
Yeah, you beat me to the punch because I was planning on doing it Monday morning. And so let me go back. I gotta try and find this. But yeah, it was cool to be able to go back and see that play.
Before we get to it, Zach, we do have another trade.
Okay. You see, I was looking in Fran's eyes. I wasn't looking at my social.
Not an Eagles trade. But the Pittsburgh Steelers making another move, adding Preston Smith, the Packers edge rusher.
Interesting. For we know the compensation.
Don't know the compensation yet.
Okay.
There was once a time when Smith and Smith, that was the edge rushing combination for the Packers, right? And now both are traded on the same day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
What a world.
Did you like him coming out?
I liked Preston Smith. I thought that he would be like a solid number 2, and he's been probably a little bit better than that, at his peak. But he's a good player coming out of Mississippi State.
Not a good name for an edge rusher. Like Preston, a little preppy.
There are worse names, I think. But yeah,
I think it's Preppy.
Preston? Yeah, Preston. I think it's a bit of a Melvin-y name.
A little Melvin-y, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's go to, what is this clip?
Offensive 2 hurdle, Julia.
By the way, the Eagles see the Steelers coming up, so in a few weeks. So they'll see Mike Williams and Preston Smith in action if both players stay healthy.
I was going to say, yeah.
All right, so this is obviously the big play to Jalen or to Saquon Barkley. I wanted to post this first thing Monday morning, so the video is up on my Twitter feed. But I think when you look at this was one of the first reps of cover 2 that the Jaguars played in this game. And this now became a very prevalent theme through the first half. So this is one of the first plays of cover 2, and you can see at the top of the screen, Jalen, look, he thinks this is going to be man-to-man coverage because off the motion, you had a linebacker working outside. So this, to me, if you're Jalen Hurts, you're looking at this and saying this should be man-to-man coverage, just a linebacker outside. Really good disguise, really good coaching from Jacksonville's coaching staff here because they were ready to disguise cover 2. And so this becomes cover 2. Julia, if you can go to the next slide, picture number 2 here will show they're running that same play, that Haas, that slot fade. So A.J. Brown is running the slot fade. That's taken away because you've got the high safety there, but it's basically clouding over A.J. So now, Julie, if you go over to the next slide, the next progression there for Jalen is DeVonta Smith on the deep crossing route. Zach, to your point, I think because you had 2 defenders there between the hashes and the numbers, Jalen doesn't want to force that play there. So he said, you know what, I'm going to get through that progression. I'm not. If you play the video all the way out, you could see DeVonta open, but I think he doesn't throw it because he sees that he's got these 2 white jerseys there kind of in the throwing lane. That would have been a very high level of difficulty throw. So Jalen instead gets the ball out to Saquon. You can go to the next one, Julian. This is the last one.
But in rhythm. Not
in rhythm. That's what I mean.
This
way, he did a really good job of getting through this progression really, really fast. And you can see Saquon catches this ball at the bottom of the screen on the run, plenty of separation with the nearest defender. And if Jalen is late to get there, the backwards hurdle does not happen because he's not going to be in position, Saquon, to be able to make that first guy miss and still create momentum until the second guy. So he's able to create those 3 plays. And so credit to Jalen. He did a really good job of getting through his reads on that play and getting the ball to Saquon in a fast fashion.
Can I ask you, this might just be anecdotal.
Okay.
But it feels to me like when Saquon is in the flat,
okay,
it is much more often to Jalen's left than to Jalen's right, or at least when he throws it to him.
Could be right.
And why do you think that is?
I don't know. I'm just maybe that's just my mind playing tricks. It could just also just be confirmation bias or whatever.
I know that there are
feels
services,
that way.
I know there are services that track like Booster, so that might be.
It feels like there. It is a familiar thing to see Saquon getting the ball on the left side, sizing up the defender who has to tackle him, and he's figuring out what move he's going to make.
No.
Whereas when it's on the right, either he doesn't throw it to him, or it's it's like the touchdown pass, or he's going further downfield.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know. Maybe it's not. Anyway, this drive ends.
Yes.
3rd and 6 from the Jags 16, and this plays into what you've been talking about. For whatever reason, the Jags leaning on cover 2 flummoxed Jalen Hurts and the Eagles offense a little bit.
Yeah, so 6 plays after the backwards hurdle, the Eagles have a 3rd and 6 in the red zone. Julia, this is offensive play 3, the second quarter sack. I want to give some love here. Steve Whitaker in the chat requested this one yesterday during the show. So I wanted to make sure we gave Steve some love for requesting this play. So, this was a sack that ended up going for -9.
Don't tell him how to do his job, Steve.
Well, no, Steve, I appreciate
I asked for requests.
Bo and I have the opposite reaction to this. I appreciate all our viewers and listeners, and thank you so much. Seriously, any suggestions, I'm all ears.
All right, so you got cover 2 here on this play once again. And one way to attack cover 2, you can see that Grant Calcaterra is running down the seam, and you have the middle linebacker there between the hash marks. He's running down the chute with it. It's Tampa 2 coverage, so that middle linebacker is going to run right down the middle of the field. And the idea is here that if the middle linebacker does not run with Calcaterra, he's running right into the void between 2 split safeties, so that should be an easy throw for Jalen. If that middle linebacker does run with Grant Calcaterra, well, then you've got, Julia, you can go to the next play. You've got DeVonta Smith kind of settling in over the ball. It was like a little kind of like an option route right over right underneath Calcaterra over the ball to Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen doesn't throw this ball. He goes right from Calcaterra. He starts looking to his right to A.J. Brown, and so his eyes weren't, in my opinion, where they kind of needed to be here on this play. And Julia, you can go to the next play or the next shot. You can see that he starts looking over to the right, and it's just a cloudy picture there. He ends up not throwing it, and by the time he gets his eyes back over to the other side, this ends up being a sack.
Where did Calcaterra go?
Yeah. Just disappears.
Yeah,
but I think when you look at this play overall, this was just one where Jalen at this point he should have gone to an underneath route, and it ends up resulting in a sack.
That said, I mean that's not what he's supposed to do. But we talk about like good sacks, bad sacks. If you miss that read on 3rd and down, still in field goal territory, that's a sack you can take.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I would put that in the piece is that you don't want it to you don't want to force the throw there. There are like levels and layers to it, right? So you don't want to force it. He ends up getting fooled there by the coverage, and I think there was a route to Jahan Dotson there. I didn't love the route from Dotson on that play, and so by the time he gets his eyes back to Dotson doesn't quite get the separation. So that's when Jalen starts to run around and he ends up taking the sack. The sack didn't kill them on that play. They were able to still, or on that drive, they were still able to get 3 points. But that's what, ultimately, like the second down play and the third down play, I felt like Jalen could have been a little bit better on that drive.
All right, we're going to get to drive number 5 in a second after a word from our sponsors, and you're not going to want to miss this one.
No.
We start with our friends at Shady Rays. I forgot. I have my Shady Rays in the proverbial green room over there, but forgot to bring them into the studio. Suffice to say, I'm wearing them every single day. Love my Shady Rays, and these are ones that I got because I had lost my other ones. Got the replacement through the great customer service of Shady Rays. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people, and their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. Great selection. Promise that you will find some shades that you like. Exclusively for our listeners, it's a great deal here. Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com, that's SHADYRAYS.com, and use code PHLY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
They say first impressions are important, but what about lasting impressions? And that's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew helps give men longer lasting and stronger erections so you can perform at your very best. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in chewable form. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA, and they're prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part, it's all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. Does it work? Do you think you need it? Try it for a month and see. You're going to love it. Your partner is going to love it too. You could be missing out on the best sex of your life. With Blue Chew, men everywhere are excited to see the postman because when your package has arrived, your package has arrived. They say there's nothing sexier than confidence, and Blue Chew can help you get confidence where it counts. And we've got a special deal for our listeners and viewers. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code ALLCITY, that's ALLCITY at checkout, and just pay $5 for shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code ALLCITY, to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information, and we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring our podcast.
Not enough fireworks there.
In what regard?
Yeah, we need to get you some new copy to make you laugh.
There's nothing to laugh at. I mean, you should.
You can have fun, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm
Sex
advising.
doesn't have to be serious.
That's exactly what I'm advising people to do here.
Your package has arrived always gets me every time.
It's good. I feel like Fran's got to do the next one because you've made it through. You've conquered it for now.
Yeah, this
we
was
need,
a goal.
We need to give you a break. Yeah.
Like this is a there's nothing to make light of here. I want people to get their Blue Chew and enjoy it, day and night.
Yes, you. Yeah. You can't, hard for you to believe. Hard for you to believe that day could be going on.
No, it's not hard to believe. I think it's great. Enjoy it, day and night.
Okay.
Those are working hours.
Yeah. What are we doing? They're all working hours as far as Zach is concerned. Super chat time. Mike Y says, I'm confused. Bo mentioned an election show at least twice yesterday. Are we just doing 2 hours on 0 Eagles trades today? Yeah, fair question.
Well, it's a show on election day. I don't think we ever said this is an election show. This is a show on election day.
Yeah. Did you vote this morning?
Of course, 7 a.m. I was there with my wife.
Nice.
It was great. Yeah, I saw in the chat someone said, "Where's your sticker?" I gave the sticker to my kids.
Yeah,
they went to school.
I got one, and they got one.
Yep.
Yeah, so yeah,
went this morning as well. They actually let me vote 5 times.
I hope not.
Yeah, it was great.
I hope not. That's
so I did it once. I liked it so much, I just kept doing it.
Believe in voting integrity. That's important.
All three of us had no issues, thankfully, getting in and out. I did see, like, driving in, there were some of those voting places where, like, lines, like, out the door, like, around the corner. So credit to all the people that are out there, like, waiting in long lines to make sure that
and
their
the
vote
election
counts.
workers themselves.
Yes, no question.
Claire says, speaking of requests, ZB, the sickos want to know what time tomorrow your morning after election pod will be. Can't wait to hear your analysis.
Honestly, I appreciate that, Claire. There's no shortage of election coverage. You're not going to get it from me on this show. I will I will give you all the Eagles insight that you could possibly want, but I am going to steer clear of election coverage.
So does that mean that Shay, who is asking a super chat about doing an election swooper, does that mean you're going to turn him down?
I think we're a little late for that, Shay.
We got 70 minutes.
Yeah, but we still haven't gone through the defense yet.
It's true.
So.
And then Shay also says, did you say stronger erections or stronger elections?
I said stronger erections, but I hope our elections are strong as well.
Yeah.
I hope there's integrity in both.
I hope they're also blue. Okay.
Also, that was Claire's first ever super chat.
Oh, thank
really?
you, Claire.
Yeah.
Well,
wow, congratulations.
Well, I don't say welcome. Welcome to the super chat.
Cheers.
Not welcome to the show.
Eagles' fifth drive.
Drive.
This is a 5 and out. They get the first down on the pass to Calcaterra. That is nicely timed by Jalen Hurts. But then after the Eagles got the ball by stopping the Jags on 4th down, they fail on 4th down on a 4th and 3 pass to A.J. Brown that looked like either late deciding from Jalen Hurts or necessarily not exactly the best ball placement?
Yes. Let's go first, Julia, to the offensive play 4. That's the 3rd and 6. And then that's the 3rd and 6, which leads into the 4th and 3 for AJ Brown. So basically, you made the point that he was able to find Grant Calcaterra underneath. That was against cover 2, off play action. They're rolling to the left. Nice job by Jalen going to the check down there. The check down was exactly where the ball needed to go based off the coverage. Now, a couple plays later, you get to 3rd and 6. Remember in the last play, you had Grant Calcaterra working down the seam, and I said that's the best way to, or what I shouldn't say the best way. That is a good way to attack cover 2. So you can see here, DeVonta Smith, bottom of the screen, he's coming in motion. And Julia, if we go to shot number 2, you could see that DeVonta releases up the seam and he is working down the field. It looks like it's going to be the same kind of thing where he's going to run right down the chute at that middle linebacker. But what does DeVonta do? You can go to the next shot here, Julia. He actually puts the afterburners on, or I guess he throws the brakes on it. The afterburners would mean that he's taking off. Throws the brakes on, and he's running basically a stop route in the middle of the field. And that's a good way to try to challenge that middle linebacker because, Julia, if you go to the next one, they've got some underneath routes to hold those 2 other underneath defenders. And so basically the C's should part, and you should have DeVonta Smith right in the middle of the field, right between the numbers. And if you go to the next shot, you can see there's DeVonta Smith. I didn't circle him, but you've got him right between the hashes there. He is open. There's Jalen Hurts ready to deliver this football. There's a little bit of pressure off his left-hand side, but this is where the ball is supposed to go against this coverage with this call. Like that's the primary read. DeVonta Smith, middle of the field, and he decides that he is not going to throw this football, and that's he ends up rolling to his left. He finds Calcaterra, and Calcaterra, I believe, ends up going for 3 yards. But the ball was there on 3rd and long to go to DeVonta Smith. And so that brings up 4th and 3. And Julia, while you get that one queued up, that's the play 5 there, the 4th and 3. To me, like this is a good example. A few weeks ago, as we were talking some of the issues with Jalen Hurts, Bo, you asked, like, are there throws available to him in the middle of the field that he's just turning down? This was the first game where I felt, yeah, there were a handful where the ball, the throw is there to be made, and he's just reluctant to hit it. I feel like in this game you saw so many examples.
And this one, as I'm looking at it on your screen, I mean, it doesn't. The vision is not super impeded there.
No,
like that one should be there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's got, again, Fred Johnson's kind of getting bull rushed in towards his lap on the left side, but the ball should have been out by this point. Like this, if not by what we're seeing here, but by that last shot that we saw. Now that brings up 4th and 3. And you can go and you can have the conversation of whether or not they should have gone for it here. Should they have taken the points and kicked the field goal? But they end up, they're saying they're going to go for it. I think they're expecting cover 2. And so Jalen is he's looking to his right side, and you have 2 outbreaking routes there. If it's a Tampa 2 look, you're basically playing off that Tampa 2 corner, and it's a high-low concept where you've got one high route, one route underneath. Jalen starts there, but by the time he realizes that it's not cover 2 and it's actually cover 1, all right, well, now I've got to work, Julia, you can go to the next one, to my crossing route to A.J. Brown. It's man-to-man coverage, my number 1 receiver running away from a corner into green grass. That should be the throw. You can see Jalen is looking at A.J. at this point, but the ball comes out extremely late. As we can go to the next shot here, you can see that the ball is just now leaving Jalen's hands as A.J. is crossing that left hash mark, and also look at Jalen's lower body. I think he would point to this and say that his mechanics were not great here, doesn't step into the throw. He's kind of falling away from it. And because of that, doesn't have a ton of mustard on the football. He kind of throws a little bit of a touch pass, leading A.J. Brown into green grass. But because there wasn't a ton of velocity on the throw, that allows the corner to undercut it, and it becomes an incomplete pass.
If I can interrupt real quick.
Please.
The trade compensation's out for Preston Smith.
Okay.
According to Matt Schneidman from The Athletic, it's a 2025 7th. Would you have given up a set? Well, the Eagles don't have a 7th. They only have 3 5ths.
I wouldn't have given up a 5th.
No, but would you, let's say it was a 2020.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you have given up that price for a veteran pass rusher, or are you of the opinion that if you're going to give anyone more snaps, give it to Jalen Hunt or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, you have to me, like they would have to give up one of the other vets on the team in order to bring on another vet, unless it was a Myles Garrett, Max Crosby type of player.
But does that tell you that the Eagles are probably not in that market then? Because if
it's
they're
such a low
not willing
price.
to do that, then
yeah, I mean that's a low now, or maybe they just didn't have a good evaluation on Preston Smith. But yeah, I mean it shows you what the rate is for a guy like that, for a veteran who's not as productive as Zadarius Smith.
I think it's also notable that Green Bay is a team that's very much in the hunt. The Bears are falling off. They need all the horses they can get, and it's not like their pass rush is killing it right now. So the fact that they're moving on from Smith, I think, is a little bit of a red flag too.
That's a good point. All right, next drive for the Eagles, and this is a good reminder that even though, Lane Johnson says we could have scored 40 points, and it felt like the Eagles were blowing this game away, they did struggle a little bit on offense in this first half, and this is another drive, their next drive, another drive hurt by a sack on third down, and they got to punt it away.
Issues against cover two. Again, I think what was interesting about this is that the Jaguars did not run a ton of cover two in the first quarter, and the Eagles were starting to kind of gain some momentum. They had that drive where Jalen had a couple completions early. Then they had the first quarter break happens, and that's where you see the sea change a little bit with Jacksonville, and they ran gradually more cover two as the quarter went on. When you get to this drive, there were 2 dropbacks for Jalen on this drive. Both of them were cover two. The next drive, the last one of the second quarter, they ran cover two on 5 straight dropbacks for Jalen on that play. So they just basically got into this part of the game, and they're like, we're just going to spam cover two. And the big thing, as we've seen from these shots, with cover two, with the middle linebacker dropping out in that Tampa look, the middle of the field is open. So basically, Doug and Ryan Nielsen were like, go ahead, Jalen, take the middle of the field if you want it. And he was just reluctant to do it. Now, you go to this play, and what I was most interested too coming into this, they talked on the broadcast about, the Jaguars are playing a lot of cover two, but they weren't showing us, so we couldn't quite see it. What are the coaches doing? Are they giving him anything to attack cover two, or are they just kind of running plays? I thought that they had really good answers against cover two, and this one's a great example. Julia, this is going to be play 6, wrap. And it's only 2 shots here. But wrap is a great way to attack cover two, attack the underneath zone coverage defenders in that situation. Because basically when you have cover two, that middle linebacker who's number 23 there, I have the arrow pointing up to that side. The middle linebacker is always going to open up to the passing strength, to where if you have 3 receivers to one side, that's the way he's always going to open up his hips. And so if you were going to
it's 2x2, is it just whichever one they think is the better?
Typically he'll play off the back. And so if the back is shotgun to the right, then he'll open to the right. If he's shotgun left, go to the left. If he's under center, then he can pick his side. Sometimes he might open to the wide side of the field. Otherwise it might be matchup based. But because there's 3 receivers to the right-hand side, he opens up to that side, even though at the bottom of the screen, you've got DeVonta Smith and A.J. Brown. So the middle linebacker is looking the opposite way. And so you can throw basically behind his head, behind his ear, and go that way. Now the Eagles are running what is called a wrap concept. And Julia, you can go to the next one here, where basically DeVonta Smith's in the slot. He runs a little stop route in the slot, and you've got A.J. Brown wrapping around him right into that blind spot for the middle linebacker. Jalen Hurts pulls the trigger there, and it's a first down. He hits A.J. Brown in stride, middle of the field, nice completion. I think it was 16 yards to A.J. Brown.
This is when he gets hurt.
This is the one he gets hurt, unfortunately. But yeah, that was a good answer against cover two. Jalen takes advantage, and it turns into a chunk gain. So that brings them into 3rd and 6. Yeah, I believe it was a 3rd and 6 on the next play. Yeah, so this is at the 2-minute warning, and it results in a sack.
And I think this is good. For we've always got half the people saying we're too hard on Jalen, and half the people saying we're not hard enough on Jalen. This is we're talking about the throws that he's turned down, but he did also, he was able to make this throw over the middle of the field. He's not going to be perfect.
Yep.
And this was something that he probably wasn't expecting to see. At some point, he sort of learns it a little bit. And then weirdly, we don't see a lot of cover two in the second half. But
it was like kind of weird, honestly, like mind blowing. Like if we were a Jacksonville Jaguars show, like I would be sitting here like saying why didn't they run more cover two in the second half? They ran it 14 times in the game, 13 times in the first half. Clearly they thought it was working because they kept spamming it over and over and over and over again. My hunch is that they were like, all right, well, they're going to try and come out and run the ball in the second half, and we can't be playing with 2 high safeties consistently. That's the only thing I could think of. But yeah, I mean, they clearly had a lot of success with it, and they did it here again on the 3rd and 6. Julia, this is play number 7. It's the 3rd down sack for against Jalen Hurts. And this is the one where we see Grant Calcaterra come in motion before the snap of the ball. If you're Jalen Hurts, this is single high coverage all day. It looks like it's going to be cover 1. It's a great look there for the offense. You say, all right, like this looks like they're going to kind of go into what they typically do. But what do? At the just before the snap of the ball, you can go to the next shot, Julia. They spin out of it and they go to cover 2. And so it's a really well disguised play. You basically this is good. This is a one-man concept essentially to attack cover 2. You've got these 2 underneath routes that I circled, one from Jahan Dotson kind of running a shallow cross. You have the running back leaking out of the backfield. Their goal is to basically take the eyes of any underneath defender. At the top of the screen, you've got A.J. Brown, and you can see that he's running towards the sideline. That is a mandatory outside release for A.J. Brown, because if he runs inside, he brings the corner towards DeVonta Smith, who's that slot receiver there in the middle of the field. Julia, if you go to the next shot, you'll see that DeVonta Smith is open there right between the outside corner and that underneath defender. That's where the ball should go. This is not, there's not a lot of progression reads here for Jalen Hurts. This is basically almost a one-man concept. Make this throw in rhythm to attack the underneath zone coverage. DeVonta's open there. He decides not to throw it. And Zach, you made the point earlier that Jalen is, maybe it's like a risk-averse thing to try and avoid these turnovers. This is a little bit of a risky throw because you've got that defender basically right to DeVonta's right. So you could say like, okay, that's why he didn't throw. Because if he jumps it, that could be a pick six. But if Jalen makes this throw in rhythm, in theory, this should be a completion for Jalen and ends up being a sack.
Let me ask you this, though, because you're speaking about the Jaguars making that change. If you're Ryan Nielsen, I'm Doug Peterson. I'm talking to you at halftime, and I understand adjustments are made beyond halftime, but we're talking at halftime. It's 16-0 at that point. Jalen Hurts is 13 of 16. Saquon Barkley's carried the ball 13 times for 61 yards. That the average is built up by that 19-yard run just before half. What are you making a change? Are you going more man there, or are you saying let's stick in cover two and we're okay with Saquon running the ball?
I think that Doug probably, honestly, like the conversation probably was he knows what the ideology is of this organization and of this team. Of like you want to be able to you're going to throw to score early and then try and run to win. He probably comes out of this saying, look, they're going to try and run against us. If we stay at two high safeties, it's going to be Saquon all day in the second half.
That's a good point.
That would be my only thought, would be that Doug kind of understood like that was going to be the thought process for the Eagles coming into the third quarter.
There you go. We are now just 1 hour away from the deadline. We've made it through.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Are you a deadline guy? Like in life, do you wait until the last minute for things?
100%.
Okay. So if you were a GM, this is the time you'd be picking up the phone. Like right
I think
now.
that would be a little bit different.
No,
but yeah, I mean, in general in my life, that's how you get things moving.
Real okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you pay your bills like right at the last day?
Well, most of my bills are set automatically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What else?
I mean, I know with assignments you wait until the last minute.
Yeah.
Wow.
No,
Listen, I think my advice to aspiring journalists, be a really good procrastinator, because then you have to practice writing on deadline.
Okay. Yeah. So okay. There's different schools of thought too, right? I'm trying to think what else in life you would wait for a deadline. Like, how about getting ready? Do you wait until the last minute to get ready for something?
Like packing for a trip?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Getting getting dressed. You have to be somewhere at 6. You have to change. You're going out to dinner, right? Are you getting in the shower at 5:30? Or are you?
I mean, I've already showered that day, but
you don't shower before you go out again?
Not if I showered already.
I mean,
really?
Yeah. If I haven't had a reason to sweat, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, I'm completely different here.
So if you shower once in the morning, if you let's say you don't leave the house,
it depends on the event. Like,
I'm always showering before I go to dinner. Always.
At home?
Yeah, absolutely.
What if you're eating at home?
Wait, what?
No. If I'm going out to dinner. Going out to dinner, that's what I'm saying. So I shower in the morning,
right?
When I wake up, right. Well, no matter what even if I didn't do if I didn't have a workout that day,
no matter what,
I'm showering before I go out to dinner. Now, if I'm eating at home for dinner, I'm not showering, but I will always shower before going out to dinner.
Interesting.
Yeah. Is this abnormal?
I'm behavior? Not. I think if I feel unclean. Or if there's extra time.
No, I always want to feel fresh.
Time doesn't always allow for there to be room for an extra shower.
Oh yeah, no, it's always an hour to get dressed and
I've had a lot of conversations with friends in the past that are like they will shower in the morning to get the day going, but then they must shower before getting into bed at night because they don't want to bring the germs of the day into bed with them. I can't wrap my head around it.
I typically shower at night as well too. Yeah.
So we're talking like
so you go 3 showers.
3 shower a day
when you haven't sweat at all.
No. If I'm going out, I'll shower tonight before I go to bed. So I showered this morning.
So minimum.
So
2
you're
showers.
always
I've
2
showered
showers.
twice already today.
What?
What was the other one today?
I went to the gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's reasonable.
So I showered when I woke up to wake up.
Okay.
Right. That was the
Did you go right to the gym?
after the kids went. Yeah.
Okay.
So
So you voted.
voted.
Took the kids.
Yeah. 9:15 went to a gym class this morning, and then rushed back, showered, went to coordinators. Yeah. So, but then I'll shower before I go to bed tonight.
So you're averaging like 2.5 showers a day.
Well, Tuesdays and Thursdays is when I go to the gym class. So
And it
those
doesn't,
days
you
will
would
be
never go to gym class without having showered already?
No. Yeah.
Knowing that you're going to shower after?
No, because then you're. Yeah. No. I shower to get
Okay.
up to get ready to be fresh when I go out. Yeah.
The amount of how much do you pay in water a month? Not to mention what you spend on the Hawaiian bottled water. That you bring on a
No,
on a daily
the
basis.
bottled water I always get just whatever the deal is at 7-Eleven or
Okay.
or Wawa. Typically Wawa, but sometimes 7-Eleven.
7-Eleven plug.
No free advertising here.
Well, no, because they have the one right by NovaCare.
Yeah, I'm just saying. You know,
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Right.
But
Julia, having known Zach as long as you have, what's your take here?
I mean,
Because
it
you're
doesn't-
laughing up a storm.
It doesn't surprise me. I'm just not. It's kind of mind-boggling. I would never. Yeah, 3 showers a day is so extreme.
well, I don't shower three times a day regularly.
But minimum 2, it sounds
The
like.
minimum too
Yeah,
is
yeah,
still.
It does sound
too.
like every Tuesday and Thursday you're doing 3 a day.
Yeah, every Tuesday, Thursday I'm doing 3.
What about the weekends? If you're going out,
Typically
you go out.
2. Yeah.
But if you go out to like a dinner on a Saturday night,
Yeah. No, I won't shower when I get home from
you
that.
won't shower after dinner.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll
I actually
do
don't.
at least 2.
I don't really have an issue with you always showering before you go out to dinner, except for the draconian you absolutely have to of it.
Yeah.
But it feels a little pathological.
Okay. Guilty as charged. Claire thinks it's normal behavior.
I don't think
I
that
think
this
she's
is-
the only one in the chat that's.
All right. That's fine.
I don't think it's
That's
that
fine.
bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel good after a shower. You
yeah, I
feel
like
you
being
feel
fresh.
fresh.
I like
Yeah.
being
I don't
clean.
think that
Yeah.
that's crazy.
I always shower when I get off an airplane.
It's just that sometimes. Oh yeah, definitely. We get to the hotel, you
that's
got to
100%.
shower. Absolutely.
Well, wait.
Yeah.
I know I have another question. I have a follow up. What is the towel? How often do you change out
Now this
towels?
is I believe we had this conversation with Marissa back in the day.
Yeah, probably like every 2-3 days.
So,
But isn't your towel damp?
It has to be.
No, you
right?
hang it up.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
by
when
the-
you're
by-
showering and then you go to gym class,
45
and then
minutes later you shower again, it's still wet.
then you got a damp towel for sure.
No, it's if I shower so if I go to the 7:15 class, okay, then I'm showering at 6.
Yeah.
All right. And then I'm showering again like 8:39.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the showers
Your towel is completely dry in 2.5, 3 hours.
well, it's good enough to be sufficient to dry me off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the worst part. Yeah, I mean, you got a damp towel situation. That's
You
no
hang
fun.
it up. I'm not leaving the towel on the floor.
Well, yeah.
When you hang up a towel, it dries off,
Yeah, not that quickly, not completely.
I don't know.
You got magic towels?
I guess it absorbs water quickly. Yeah.
Unless you do a heavy drip dry situation.
Yeah, I do. I am.
Like when you go to the sink, like
Emily
after,
jokes like there's a puddle outside the
Okay,
shower
now
when I
it's starting
get
to make
out.
sense.
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
This is starting to
Wait,
make
what
sense.
is going on? Why is there a puddle?
What?
Why is there a puddle?
Because I get out of the shower to dry. Like I will walk. Yeah, I will be drying off as going to the sink and yeah.
That seems rude.
Sorry. Okay. That's
But I mean, give yourself 20 seconds when the shower's over to
no. That's what she tells me. But it's
you know who's got that kind of time?
Nobody's got time for that.
yeah, seriously. It's about efficiency at that point. Yeah.
Well, that's my other question then. From an efficiency standpoint, are these like the most utilitarian showers known to men, or are these in and out?
I'll listen to a podcast sometimes, or yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, but
I'll try to be. Sometimes I'll have my phone like get up, if the shower's here, and then there's a spot. Yeah, I'll put the phone over there, and I'll so the
Wait,
phone
what do you
doesn't
mean
get
over
wet.
there?
Like there's a part in the shower that doesn't get
In the
wet.
shower. Oh,
So it
okay.
doesn't
You
get-
got a cavernous shower.
No, it's not that it's cavernous, but there's a spot,
Palatial.
No, the ledge where you put the shampoo and the soap.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
not getting wet, is it? For you?
I wouldn't put my phone there.
Well, that's where I put my phone there. Well, yeah, and then I'll.
Were you there using wet fingers on that bad boy?
Yeah, but yeah. but what if news happens when you're in the shower?
God forbid.
Well,
Yeah.
life goes on.
Or sometimes, like, if you get a text and you got to answer it, I'll jump out of the shower to respond to the text and then
Jump
get back in. Yeah, yeah.
That's
wonder there's
that is
puddles
wild
everywhere.
behavior. Yeah.
All right, let's proceed with the film review. We did this by me asking you about deadlines, and then it got into shower behavior.
Well,
I feel like you need to bring screen grabs for next week.
Definitely not.
a couple super chats from Sumak, who says, "Sorry he joined late, ZB. When is the election pod tonight?
Yeah.
Sickos have their popcorn ready."
Is this like a bit that people are doing?
I didn't send them all on this road.
I will not be speaking about the election on the show, but I will
In any
be
capacity?
consuming all the coverage. No, I will not. I'm hoping I think people come here as I said, there's no shortage of election coverage or election conversation, and you can come here to hear about the Eagles and the trade deadline and apparently shower etiquette as well.
What is my favorite aspect of election coverage
Yeah.
is the is John King, right, from CNN
Yes.
with the telestrator. The telestrator, though, his work on the telestrator I think is like A+, like Dan Orlovsky level quality in terms of the way he operates telestrator.
I like Kornacki.
Okay.
Yeah.
Khaki Kornacki.
Yeah, he does a good job. Honestly, the thing that I always laugh
There's
about.
no point about election coverage that I enjoy.
Well,
Okay. The thing that I always find funny is like
it's
is
all
like,
incredibly stressful.
Is the like 12-person desk. It's
yeah. I mean, well, that's
people
that's
get
everything
people
now,
get like
yes.
30 seconds in. You know,
Yeah,
you can't have meaningful conversation in that 30 seconds.
Sounds
right?
like sports
Yeah,
coverage.
obviously.
Yeah.
We also have a super chat from Andrew who says, "FYI, Z-Berm, fresh water is a finite resource."
Well, the water's I'm going in the drain. You know, it's not like isn't this what happens? The water goes in the drain, goes into your system, and then it's eventually reused.
So you know what you do?
What?
Is you have to figure out a way to capture that water, and then you can use it for your unnamed fish.
Let's not go there. Okay?
Oh, why? Oh no!
No, let's not go there.
No,
Oh,
we got
no.
you. No, what's going on?
No. I don't want PETA on my
Oh,
on my
no.
case.
What happened?
I did what Fran told me to do. I'm not blaming Fran. Fran was
Wow.
amazing.
Blood's on your hands, Fran.
No.
Yeah. no, I have to know what happened.
I bought the solution.
Okay.
Okay. I followed.
You did too much of it.
to the specification, exactly as it was said. Changed the water, put the drips in, measured it completely. Okay. 24 hours later, boom,
Belly up.
belly up. Like, was
Poor thing
I?
didn't even have a name.
No, I mean, like changing the water? I screwed up changing the water. Was it the temperature? Was it the composition?
Yeah.
Was it?
Did you not? Did you
I
wait?
think I changed too much water.
Did you wait? How long did you wait before?
Oh,
putting
the
water
exact
in?
amount of time.
You waited like 30 minutes or whatever
Yeah,
you said it was.
yeah, exactly what it said on the back label.
Poor Nori and Demo.
I take it back.
Yeah.
That guy was right.
No,
Your felony. This is your felony.
this is not. No, I was trying
He
to
was
give
right.
trying to give them a good place to live. Yeah,
Was it Reeds or Sloan's or both?
Reeds.
Reeds.
Yeah,
Oh,
So are
sorry,
we
Reed.
already in the market for a replacement?
yeah. I gotta get back there.
Gotta go back.
We'll be all right.
You're going to a different store.
We'll be all
No,
right.
same
So
one.
you're back. You're back again.
Same one, but I mean the changing of the I gotta say the dirty water they look great in dirty water. Is once I changed to fresh water that's when once I cleaned that thing out and I vacuumed the whole thing. I was
Oh, yeah.
vacuuming and
Yeah, you don't need to do that. I don't think you need to do. do all
yeah
that.
I got the whole device and I was pumping that thing.
no.
You pump the water out, you clean the waste and all that, and yeah. Anyways, I didn't want to get into it in the show, but.
Sorry.
Sorry for your loss.
Yeah, I feel bad. I mean, I was trying my best.
Yikes.
All right, let's get on the
Turn.
defense.
Yeah.
Last drive
Yeah. nice change there.
of the first half, they get
Yeah.
the Cowards draw a touchdown. Anything else stand out to you there?
Yeah, I mean that one. Sorry, I'm like catching up here. All right, so Yeah, this was actually one of the tougher ones. So, Julia, if you can pull up offensive clip 8. This was another example of just attacking cover 2. The Eagles get into the red zone here, and they call 4 verts. And with 4 verticals, it's exactly how it sounds. You got 4 vertical routes, and essentially you're targeting that middle linebacker in the middle of the field, as you see there with the circle. And you've got 2 routes in the middle of the field across down the 2 seams. And here on this play, that is Grant Calcaterra on the left and DeVonta Smith on the right. Basically, as soon as they clear that underneath level of the coverage, they're going to work inside the safeties. And if you go to the next shot, Julia, you'll see both guys are going to work in there. And basically, Jalen Hurts just have to pick a side. And if the middle linebacker is open to the left, you throw to the right. If he opens up to the right, you throw to the left. Here he opens up to DeVonta Smith, and so he should have Grant Calcaterra opening down the seam here. And Julie, you can go to the next shot. You can see there's Calcaterra. That's where he's going to throw that shit. And you can see that this is a clean pocket for Jalen Hurts. This is where the ball should be thrown. It should be lofted up over the linebacker, under the safety. And actually, it doesn't even need to be that much of a touch throw because there's no fear of that middle linebacker picking this off. So he should be leading him right down the seam here for completion. And honestly, probably a touchdown. He ends up taking off here, Jalen, and he runs for 7 yards there on the scramble. But this was a great example of when Jamie and I went to the halftime show on Sunday, and we were talking about, Jalen's been running around a little bit, but they didn't show the replays. I kind of wanted to see what those looked like. That play was one that came to mind because that was one where you could tell that there was something there that he was thinking about throwing, and he didn't throw it. Did they take it away, or was it just that Jalen turned it down? That one he turned down, and that was a touchdown that, look, they made up for it later because the Saquon Barkley ends up running into the end zone, but that's one that I think he would like to have back.
All right, there you go.
There you go.
Did you see any big picture adjustments from the Eagles offense in the second half?
I mean, I think the big adjustment was more like, hey, we're going to go lean into the run game. The play action game certainly was a big part of it. I mean, they came out in the opening possession, and that's where you see the big play downfield off play action to Jahan Dotson on the deep corner route. That was a really good ball from Jalen, a great finish from Jahan Dotson playing through contact. But I think that they said, look, if they're going to play a lot of cover 2, we're going to respond in kind by running the football. And so I think that was kind of the adjustment there. And I will say, Jalen did not have a good second quarter. I thought he was much better as you got through the majority of the second half.
There you go. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm sorry about that.
You're worried about it?
No, I actually have a trick question for you guys, too. I don't mean to
come on. We're all over the place.
I see. I keep saying my friend about this reporter. This guy's actually they're all my friends, but Mike Garafolo
is all your friends.
Well, Mike, I mean, the people I've mentioned, Diana Rossini, Matt Schneidman, Nate Tice. I've mentioned these people. I'm friendly with them.
Yeah.
Friendly.
What?
Friendly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bo.
Just saying. Yeah. No.
You have a very rigid definition of friendship, apparently. Mike Garafolo is someone who I hold near and dear to my heart. He says,
wedding guest of yours.
What's that?
Wedding guest of yours.
Yes, wedding guest of mine. Barring a significant pivot by 4 p.m. Eastern, the Giants will retain linebacker Azeez Ojulari. They've made it clear they weren't going to give him away and held firm. Ojulari, 6 sacks, too short of his career high, now heads to the home stretch of his contract toward free agency. Unless this is the Giants putting this out for leverage, this to me is bad business. Okay? The Giants, I can't imagine they're going to keep Azeez Ojulari unless they move on from Kayvon Thibodeau this offseason. Azeez Ojulari is going to be a $50 million, $60 million edge rusher. You're not going to pay him that to be your third edge rusher. They already paid Brian Burns big money. They have, an organizational investment in Kayvon Thibodeau. I understand you can have more than 2 edge rushers. You probably don't want, you're probably not going to pay all these guys, is my guess. I imagine Ojulari is probably going to go somewhere where he is similar to Bryce Huff, like a top guy. What are the Giants doing? They did this last year with Saquon Barkley and Xavier McKinney. This whole, we have a price, and you have to be dynamic here.
Yes.
The market talks to you. At some point, I understand. At some point, you have to acknowledge, okay, it's a buyer's market here, not a seller's market. If that's the case, you can't hold firm to your price when you have this trade deadline and then let him leave Well, we got something.
Got another trade.
Ooh.
The Rams are trading 2-time Pro Bowl cornerback Tre'Davious White to the Baltimore Ravens.
There you go.
To the
They've been talking about that.
Yeah.
McVay had been asked about it a couple times.
2027 7th-round pick to the Ravens for a 2026 7th.
He seems
he's
a
been
little
in
washed.
action.
The injuries caught up to him.
I don't get what the
two Fran Duffy draft favorites, Tre'Davious White and Azeez Ojulari.
That's true. I was a big Tre'Davious White guy when he was coming out of LSU, and he turned into he was the best corner, I believe, of that class. He was a really good player, but injuries have certainly taken their toll.
And you loved Ojulari.
I did like Ojulari. Ojulari is like the body type that I really like for the pass rushers. It's similar to like Nolan Smith, where it's the short but long arms. I just kind of have a thing for guys with that come off the edge with that body type.
What's the most you would give up for Azeez Ojulari?
You're presuming it's a 1-year rental, though,
yes.
Right.
So,
I mean, if the Eagles had an opening, like where it was like it would have made sense for them to make that deal. If I were a team looking for a starting rusher, I don't know, man, because he's been banged up throughout his career. This year he's been healthy. His first year he was healthy. He had injury questions coming out, and the years in between he's been really banged up. That's why they felt like they needed to trade big capital to go get Brian Burns this year and spend a first-round pick on Thibodeau a couple years ago. 3 or 4, right?
Yeah, I don't think you could even give it 3.
Yeah, that's why I don't, unless you know that you were going to get a deal done with them.
Yeah.
He's been good, and this is coming from someone who liked him. I don't think it could be more than that.
But I think you're right, Zach, about
yes,
the Giants.
I do agree with that.
From a big picture perspective. Yeah, they're throwing value away.
My guess is that they're looking at it as we need as many good players right now on our team just to keep ourselves safe, job-wise.
Sure.
We don't want to completely go in the tank and then somebody else is making those picks.
We got more super chats. Jalen All Day Sicko Midday says, this is why Marissa uses a new towel and is freaking out somewhere. Mold in towels worse than dirt, sweat, and skin shuffling.
Yeah. Look, honestly, I am, as I think about it, there's sometimes like a 2-towel rotation. Not all the time. It depends on...
Interesting.
Yeah.
How so?
How many hooks you got?
Yeah.
We got 2 hooks, one for Emily, one for me.
Okay.
But
you got a hook or a bar?
A hook.
You got hooks?
I like a hook.
We got bars.
Yeah, we got hooks, but
Julia, hooks or bars for your towels?
Bar.
Yeah, rod.
Yeah, rod.
Yeah, but I think there's a towel rotation there.
What do you mean you think? You're not aware?
No, there's a towel rotation.
Someone's rotating the towels unbeknownst to you?
No, there's a
Magic,
towel
this
rotation.
shows up.
there's a towel.
Emily's like, yeah, I know.
The butler?
No, I think sometimes I might use Emily's towel, maybe. But,
He finally comes clean.
if that was like, if that's dry.
Wow.
But,
That is dastardly behavior.
Let's proceed here. What's the next super
I
chat?
love how we waited.
Wow, that's a bombshell.
He waited until the 80-minute mark because he's like, "There's no way Emily's listening to this point."
Yeah.
That's a bombshell. Does she know that?
Not until now. That would only be for like the 2 showers within
night
like
shower.
3
The second
hours.
one,
Yeah,
right?
right.
The sweaty gym one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Also, like she's
That's outrageous.
okay there.
Shares.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
she's
outstanding.
also she's no. Let's just go on
No,
to the next.
no, go ahead.
No.
You got to finish.
Yeah,
Once
no.
you start, it's touch move, man.
She's big on on doing the laundry a lot too. So the towels get cleaned a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
You ever doing the laundry?
I'll throw it in the washer. Okay. I'll take my laundry. No, seriously. I'll take my laundry and I'll put it in the washer. And then
You won't even start the machine?
well, because we'll do it because the kids will put theirs in, and then Emma was very
not a manly thing to do.
has nothing to do with the manly thing to do. It's
Guy won't even do a load of laundry.
I will do my laundry if there's something, but
Who's got time for that when you take 5 showers a day?
all right, let's go on.
How
To the
about
next one.
folding? How about putting it away? You ever doing any of that?
I'll put it away. Emily will fold it. Yeah, and then I'll put it away. Yeah, she's a better folder than I am. So
Jeez.
That sounds like one of those things where you like purposely do it wrong, so you know, like, all right, I'm never gonna have to do this again.
she's very like organized. Like she runs a home organization business, right? So she she's very particular.
This was all along. You were just prepping her for.
She's very particular about like the way things. Yeah.
Really, I'm doing you a favor.
Well, yeah. I mean, if she left it up to my devices, it would drive her nuts. Like she needs everything to be very particular. So.
All right, more super chats from Real Time with Prince Blue. He says, "Make aquariums great again." Claire says, "ZB, since we won't get your personal analysis, please peck, nest, migrate the following networks for election coverage: CNN, MSNBC, and Fox."
I will nest CNN. I will, I suppose, peck MSNBC, and I will migrate Fox.
And Baller SP says, "ZB, what is the price for your election analysis?" This is great. I love it. I don't have to do any work here. The sickos are just
honestly, I would just say, please vote, exercise your right to vote, and we'll my analysis is vote. Just that's my analysis. Vote, go vote.
Who's got time to vote when you got to shower 14 times a day?
You're overstating the shower thing. I
think we're actually understating.
God forbid someone wants to be clean and fresh and smell good.
There are other ways to smell good. White and Crispy says, think there was any thought to
what
trading
other ways are there to smell good?
one of Keeley or Rogers. Feels like whoever isn't playing is a little too valuable to just be a depth piece. No, I think this is a fair point.
Yeah, I disagree here. I think they're more apt to trade Eli Ricks if there's a
sure.
Look, I don't know if Darius Slay's going to be on the team next year. I don't know if Isaiah Rodgers is going to be on the team next year. There's a world where your top three corners next year are Keeley Ringo, Quinyon Mitchell, and Cooper DeJean. Perhaps they put DeJean on the outside next year and they bring in a slot and Keeley's your third corner. Perhaps they keep Isaiah Rodgers beyond this year. But I think that if there's any corner who would be, I don't think they're going to move Ringo. I don't think they're going to move Rodgers at this point. I think they would move Ricks.
I think Rodgers is possible if they got a real offer, but this is a team with Super Bowl aspirations. You're talking about a guy in Slay who is older and like there's no guarantee he's going to be ready. You do not want to get caught needing corners
there's
after.
No reason to get cute
there's no reason to get cute. You have a nice strong depth at an important position. The strength of the defense, I would keep that strong.
Agree.
All right. I don't think we need to go through every drive in the second half now that we've made it here, but there are a couple plays that you want to get into.
I appreciate this Gator Bite. I mean, I feel like I feel very, there's a lot of things that I would be insecure about on the show. I think personal hygiene, I feel very comfortable with where I stand on the personal hygiene here.
Are you casting aspersions at Fran or myself?
No, I'm not casting aspersions. I just feel like I'm on good standing when it comes like I don't think I need to apologize for showering and being fresh and being clean. Like that's
you
not.
You need to apologize for anything.
Yeah. So.
I told you. I think the shower thing is good.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I feel bad about the fish thing. I wish I didn't discuss that, but the shower thing, I feel comfortable about.
I think you could contribute a little bit more on the laundry front.
Honestly, I'm happy to. That's one of those things where it's like
you're doing what you're told.
No, not doing what I'm told. It's just knowing the personalities of the husband and the wife there.
Okay.
Like there's that. Trust me, that's not about machismo. That's more about like she's very type A in that regard. She wants things very fresh, orderly. And
sounds like someone who would be mortified that you're using her towel.
No, there's typically a 2-towel rotation. I didn't want to say that the towels are getting washed more frequently. I didn't want to say that because I already have probably like environmentalists saying I'm using too much water for the showers, and now we're running the washer multiple times a day. Or not multiple times a day, every day. So yeah, I want to stay away from that.
All right, let's talk about the DeVonta plays.
Thank you, please.
All right, so we'll go to this would be the DeVonta big play. Let's see, this is clip 10 here, Julia. So basically, they came out at this point, and this was three big plays to DeVonta Smith, 3 big completions. The 11th possession, the Eagles came out. I want to say, let's see, what was the score at this point? I believe it was a 1-score game. Yeah, so this is 22-16. Jacksonville punts back to the Eagles. They go on an 8-play drive. It starts with the Saquon run for 21 yards. I should also make the note that the offensive line was outstanding in this game, and we've seen a lot of clean pockets for Jalen Hurts, but in the run game, and the double teams at the point of attack were outstanding, and overall, the protection was really good. Now, I mentioned earlier that they set up this play earlier to me with the opening drive. They run that little play action play to Ben Van Sumeren in the flat. It goes for no yardage. Here, it's the same kind of action. You see EJ Jenkins is coming back across the formation to block the defensive end, Trayvon Walker. It's under center, play action from a heavy personnel set. The only receiver on the field is DeVonta Smith. Julie, if you go to the next play, because of the play action fake, all of the coverage on the left side for Jalen Hurts is all towards the line of scrimmage. So it's essentially 2 versus 1. DeVonta Smith versus the corner and the safety to that side. DeVonta does an outstanding job with his route. He pushes really hard vertically, and you get a good visual because he's working right down the right hash mark. And the reason why it's important for him to not drift and to really make sure he holds this vertically down the field is that it's going to affect both of the defensive backs. And Julia, if you go to the next shot, you can see by DeVonta pushing so hard vertically, look what that safety does. He breaks down and opens up to DeVonta's right. And now as soon as that happens, DeVonta's got him cooked. He puts his foot in the ground and breaks back towards the left. And then it becomes a foot race between DeVonta Smith and a much older Ronald Darby. Jalen lays this out. It was a perfect throw on that against that coverage on that route. And DeVonta runs under it for a big play and 46 yards.
And this is the one that Jalen said he struggled with during the week of practice. So,
yeah, he said the time. What was it exactly? He said like the timing was off with him and Ajayi.
Yeah,
and they ran into
yeah, he missed it. Yeah, so he felt good about the fafact that he hit DeVonta on it.
It was a beautiful throw. And then it was a few plays later. We get to the next one, and this is clip 11, Julia. This is the touchdown to DeVonta Smith. So this is his third catch on the drive. First one came on third down. Then you saw that under center shot play that we just looked at. Here's the touchdown. This was after a penalty, so they brings him back. So it's 3rd and a mile. You can see that it's an empty set. So it's 3-by-2 formation. You have 3 receivers to the left, 2 receivers to the right. It's DeVonta Smith to the bottom of the screen. That's Kenny Gainwell in the near slot to the bottom. And I just wanted to show that it's 3-by-2 because having 3 receivers to the left has a direct impact on how the Jacksonville Jaguars choose to defend this route concept. Because, if you go to the next one, you can see that the safety to that side, he is opened up to the 3 receiver side. He's looking that way. Because in quarters coverage, typically you think of quarters and you're like, oh, well, it's 2 safeties on one side, 2 DBs on one side, 2 DBs on the other, and they split the field in the quarters. But when you have 3 receivers to one side, safeties now typically are taught that you have to actually look on the 3 receiver side and key anything that's coming that way. So that safety on that side, he's not looking at DeVonta Smith. If this were a 2-by-2 set, and we know that the Eagles, we've talked about this a lot here on the show, if this were 2-by-2, that safety would not be looking to the other side. He'd instead be looking at Kenny Gainwell. And if Gainwell had not, if let's say he ran this underneath route, though you can see that Gainwell has barely left the line of scrimmage because he's chipping the defensive end. And if in this scenario, if this were 2-by-2, that safety's looking at DeVonta Smith, and it essentially becomes a double team on DeVonta Smith. But because you had 3 receivers to the other side, that is holding that safety over the other way. So now this becomes 1-on-1. And again, it's DeVonta against Ronald Darby. Really quickly, you can go to the next shot. Perfect, Julia. Yeah, you go to the next shot. This is a great route from DeVonta Smith because he pushes, again, really hard vertically. That gets Darby to open up towards the field. Now DeVonta opens up and he ends up going out towards the sideline. It's a double move. Basically, it's like an out and up route, and he gets Ronald Darby on his heels, and it's a big play touchdown. He blows by him. That's the last shot there. But a great route, insane catch, great throw from Jalen. The protection was there. They had 2 chips on the play, helping out the tackles. So outstanding job. They were great execution across the board.
And do you see on film what Jalen was talking about him not having vision to this throw?
I couldn't quite see that on the play. I'll take a look and see actually on the screen grabs. You might be able to see. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty clean pocket. Like, I think he just has to kind of trust that DeVonta is going to open up here because it's a little bit of a cloudy picture when he does have to let this loose. It's basically a spot throw for Jalen on that point.
That's what he said.
Is that all right? So yeah, it's a
he
spot
he's
throw.
To a spot.
Yeah, it's like, okay, like I think this is where DeVonta is supposed to be. I'm going to cut this loose. They're running the same route at the top of the screen. It's actually it's funny because you could see like the difference between DeVonta Smith and Jahan Dotson, because Dotson's running the same exact route and does not get nearly the same level of separation going up against that corner on the other side. He's going up against a better corner there in Tyson Campbell, but that was a great throw, great catch.
Yeah, Jalen said there's two elements here. First off, he's throwing it to a spot. It's the trust that he has in DeVonta because he doesn't quite have vision on DeVonta, and perhaps that might have been where DeVonta was on the route too, not just the offensive line. But additionally, he needs to put it in a spot in the back of the end zone where only DeVonta can catch it because he doesn't want the interception there either. So DeVonta has to make a great catch there, but Jalen has to put the ball in that spot so DeVonta is in position to make that catch.
I was surprised after the game to find that this was a career high in deep completions for Jalen Hurts in this game. According to Next Gen, it was 4 completions of 20-plus yards. That's down the field, like air yard completions. That was a career high. I was surprised by that.
Me too.
I figured there'd be more like in the 2022 season or last year, but not the case.
So there was this press conference last year with James Franklin where like he left this idea of like just throw the ball up, right? But there are some times when there's a 3rd and long where I feel like just put it up for DeVonta or AJ to make a catch. Like don't put it in harm's way. But sometimes even there, if it gets intercepted, it's 3rd and long. But there are times when you're so focused on scheming up a play in that situation where I would just think, hey, you have this guy, put it up and see if he can make a spectacular play on the ball.
That would have been a disaster throwing an interception on that one just because you had a 6 point,
exactly.
6 point lead. You should be, if you missed that, you kick a field goal to go up by 9. But to your point, yes, I think that there is a certain element to that. But also like there are levels. Look, if it's 3rd and 17. Yes, I think that's when you can kind of throw. I know Sheila's talked about that, with you guys in the past. Like that's I think that's a perfectly acceptable way to kind of approach that. But if it's 3rd and 8, like you should be able to run your offense and not have like the 3rd and 3 play to AJ early in the game where they run that deep corner route off mesh. Like to me, like work the mesh routes. Don't have to throw that deep corner. The 4th and 1 touchdown to AJ Brown, was that last week or the week before? That was 2 weeks ago, right? The Giants game.
Yes.
Where that's like. Doesn't need to be this hard. So I think there's elements to it. But in a situation like that where it's 3rd and a mile, like, I'm okay with the deep ball downfield.
My last question for you, specific plays, the 4th and inches.
Yes.
Could he have hit AJ Jenkins there?
To me, like he should have throttled that down. I mean, you get it first, like the play call. Don't love the play call in that situation.
Right.
We talked about that. But yes, with the way that the play was covered, it was designed to go to Saquon. Same play that happened in Atlanta where Saquon drops into the goal line. But the defense picks it up. If he throttles down, he's got EJ Jenkins there.
It's got to be a quick decision, but that's the whole conceit of the play, right?
Yeah. Julia, do you have the offensive clip 9? It's just the one screen grab. I actually just grabbed it just so you could see it. But if he kind of throttles down, he's rolling to his right, Jalen. If he throttles this down, he's got EJ Jenkins kind of sitting down there, and that's where
that's a tough play. But like that's really the only other option on the play. Like it should be aware.
He's trying to be. I think at first he's like, all right, I'm going to throw this to Saquon, and if not, I'm going to try and run for the first. But Devin Lloyd, I mean, look, Devin Lloyd is not a perfect player, but he's really fast. He's an explosive player, and so he beats Jalen to the edge and kind of cuts him off at the pass there. So he takes out the scramble, and then obviously ends up throwing that one away.
All right, we have another super chat from the Andal, who says, ZB, how many more super chats for a ZB election pod?
I'm not doing an election pod. I appreciate, I know Bo probably appreciates the bit here. I appreciate the interest in the show. I appreciate the interest in my opinions, but I will not be delving into any political commentary.
Okay. All right. Well,
nor should that be controversial either. Yeah.
I mean, listen, some people think the moment is big enough to speak your mind.
Okay. And
let's talk about the defense, and let's do it through the prism of the Ace Hardware temperature check. Let's take a look at which team is heating up or cooling off with our Ace Hardware temperature check. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at www.acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project. And boy, Fran, was the defense on fire in the first half.
I mean, just outstanding. The guys were flying around. Every level of defense, I thought, had their moments in this game. It was one of the better defensive performances that we've seen, certainly from this group. But I think when you look at the linebackers, what you got from Zack Baun, what you got from Nakobe Dean in this game was really, really good to see. We saw good flashes again from the young guys in the secondary. I thought Cooper DeJean had some really good moments. The pass rush had moments. So this was overall like a really good defensive effort.
And then what happened in the second half when things, even then still it wasn't that bad, but when they did surrender stuff, what went wrong?
Yeah, there were some individual moments, like CJ Gardner-Johnson got beat on a couple plays where he was like man-to-man. He got his eyes caught in the backfield on one. He got kind of picked off on a switch release concept. That was the one that to Evan Ingram in the end zone that got tackled inside the 5. So there were a couple of those. The Jacksonville caught them on a couple of draw plays. Those really were the only runs that hit for Jacksonville the entire day, where they basically like surprised the Eagles with a couple of draws. But outside of that, it was like a play here or there where they were able to, like Parker Washington got some nice separation on a comeback route. Brian Thomas Jr. got Isaiah Rodgers on that one in the fourth quarter. Outside of that, the defense was
I know it was
really
such a
played 52
such a
snaps
silly
or whatever.
game,
Yes.
right? For them that it's hard to really judge. But what did you think of Isaiah Rodgers in his first game as a full starter?
Better against the pass than against the run. There were a couple where I'm like, I would have liked to see him come down with a little bit more like Vic and vigor, coming down as a force player in the run game. But overall, he gave up the separation on that Brian Thomas deep curl route, but then he came back a few plays later, and the coverage he had on that one was just phenomenal. It was Trevor Lawrence went that way. They showed just really, really sticky coverage, and you saw that athleticism show up. So, I thought he was solid. I thought it was a nice debut for him.
How about the linebackers?
Yeah.
Zack Baun was all over the field.
Yeah,
it happened from the jump.
Really impressive.
The PBU he made on the very first play of the game, watching it live, I was like, wow, that's a great play. Watching it on film was even better. He had no business making that play. Basically, they ran a flood. I have the screen grabs for that one, but they ran a 3-level stretch to that side where basically you're running a route deep, a route underneath, and you have a route attacking the sideline from the middle of the field. You see against zone defenses, this work every single week around the NFL. It's a staple concept, a great way to attack defense. And Zack Baun, as the linebacker in that area of the field, so often they kind of let those guys go. I'm going to pass him off to the safety. I'm going to pass. There's a corner over there that should be in position to defend this throw. But Zack Baun just keeps getting depth, and he makes that PBU like 20 yards downfield, a leaping PBU against Evan Ingram. Just outstanding play from Zack Baun.
I am blown away by Zack Baun. When I went back and watched the game, if you're like Professor Shelman and you watch the coordinator press conferences, you saw I asked a number of questions today about Zack Baun and Vic Fangio with inside linebackers. I have this working like this half-baked theory. Zack Baun is like the dream Eagles linebacker, like Eagles fan linebacker, right? Typically
ZB.
No, some of the linebackers that they get, even like your TJ Edwardses of the world, they might be undersized or like they're deficient. Zack Baun is big. He's physical. He can blitz. Like he can get to the quarterback. He's showing that he can make plays on the ball.
Yep.
He has that physicality. That he's already been flagged a few times for some like late hits or personal fouls. But he plays with the physicality. That's the first thing Nick Sirianni said over the summer. He's really been a presence for them and just a great signing. I was trying to get into Vic Fangio's analysis or assessment or evaluations of inside linebackers. That I asked 3 different questions about that today. And one of the things he says like it can be lazy sometimes for coaches to form their evaluation based on the way other people evaluate the player. He says there's coaches who do that. He doesn't pay attention to that. So he kind of views it from an isolated perspective. He said that inside line. I asked him, "Are you best at evaluating inside linebackers?" He said, "Yeah, that's the position that he's spent the most time coaching."
Oh,
that's
a good question.
Yeah, and then I asked who his prototype is for inside linebackers. Like who's the guy you kind of measure all your inside linebackers against? And he started off by mentioning, Sam Mills. He said, I probably want to know who Sam Mills is. And
oh wow,
I was a little insulted by that. Like I didn't want to come on, Montclair State, Philadelphia Stars, New Orleans Saints, Carolina Panthers. I think he was with the Cleveland Browns at one point. I didn't want to do that. So I made a joke. He was I said he was about my size, to which Vic Fangio quickly said, no, he wasn't. And Vic was like, he was short, but he was big, right? And I don't mean Sam Mills is literally my size. I kind of meant that in terms of it's hard for your prototype to be like a 5'9.5" linebacker.
Yeah.
But then he mentioned, I think he had
Keep pounding. That's a good blue chew.
Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman were in. So Anyways, Zack Baun, Bo and I spoke about this yesterday. I feel like, not to take anything away from Howie signed him ultimately, but I feel like this was Vic Fangio. Vic Fangio was on him from the beginning.
Right.
And what an evaluation, because Bo made the point throughout the summer, and it was well said, that the Saints had 4 years to evaluate him, and they didn't view him like this. The rest of the league, they weren't lining up to. Now, Zack Baun was a day one free agent signing, but it's not as if teams were trading for him to be an inside linebacker. The Eagles evaluated him here, put him there, and he's won the job. And I even asked Michael Clay this, when you first saw his tape in March, I figured this was going to be a core special teams guy for you, right? And I said, did you evaluate him for that? And he's like, he looked at the special teams thing, but he always likes when a guy graduates to be a starter.
So whether he resigns midseason or if he resigns the team in the spring, what are you guys expecting contract-wise? I'm looking at some of the deals that were given out this offseason to the position. So Patrick Queen with the Steelers ended up getting $13.7 million AAY. Frankie Louvu was $12 million AAY with the Washington Commanders. Blake Cashman got $8.5 million. So Cashman. And look, that would put him in basically the way I kind of keep track of all this stuff. That would be that's one tier. I think you go into the next group, and that's where you see I'm looking at some of the other guys that got Devondre Campbell got $5 million last year. Jordan Hicks got $4 million last year. Caden Ellis is at 7.2. You might probably look at them as kind of similar type of players. Also interesting considering he left the New Orleans Saints as well. The Saints just gave Pete Werner $7.5 million.
Do you think he's scheme dependent though?
I think 7 is that should get it done.
7-8 million.
Do you have to make that signing confident that Vic Fangio is going to be here for?
I think so.
Yeah, because
if you're Zach, you also want to make that
sure. You now obviously. so this is the thing. If you make that signing, you kind of have to expect Nick Sirianni to be here, Vic Fangio to be here.
Yeah, that's what I was saying on the postgame show.
Yeah.
It does feel a little bit dependent on that.
Exactly. You're not going to sign Zack Baun and then bring in a whole new defensive scheme,
right.
and then you have this guy who kind of fits ideally in the scheme.
And I was also thinking about this. We know, because he's talked about it, I remember in 2022, there were a bunch of guys coming up, and how he chose not to do any in-season extensions, which was contra to his philosophy, and it was because he didn't want to mess things up chemistry-wise in the locker room. And I understood that. You got to think about the guys who are up this year. First of all, are they as worried about the locker room chemistry? And then from a Milton, Isaiah, Baun standpoint, Milton is the guy who, if you're sending a message to the locker room, it's this is a guy who we drafted and developed. You're rewarding him. That's an easy story to tell. That's I don't think anybody would feel bad about that. Yeah. There's also, in 2022, remember, there were multiple guys at the positions who were coming up at the same time. So you were worried about if we pay CJ or we pay Marcus Epps, the other one's going to get mad.
Sure.
That's not the case this time around necessarily. So you could do it. And with Zack Baun, it's you're rewarding a guy who went out and won a job in training camp and has been awesome. I don't think anybody would worry about that. Maybe Isaiah Rodgers, you would worry a little bit more about it, just because who knows what that group is going to look like next year.
With them,
But it's a thing that we know that Howie's thinking about.
You're right. I think more of the question now, though, is the scheme. You're not gonna. You don't want to sign a guy.
Which is the nice thing about Milton Williams,
defense.
is that
he can play in any scheme. If you don't know for a fact what this defense is going to look like next year, right? With at least in 2022, you knew Sirianni was going to be your coach next year. Even if you thought Gannon might get a job, and I think they thought Gannon might get a job, I think they thought Fangio would be the coordinator the year after, right? But this year, look, the Eagles are 6-2. There's no indication that Nick Sirianni won't be the coach. But if they don't win in the playoffs, if they're 1-out in the playoffs, that's certainly on the table.
All right, that'll wrap it for the Ace Hardware temperature check. Looking at the defense, I believe we also have another super chat.
Oh, I thought I meant another trade. I was getting excited.
From Claire, who says, ZB, what advice can you give to individuals trying to date somebody with opposing political viewpoints, like James Carville and Mary Madeline?
Yeah, I would say that. So this is dating. This isn't a marriage. I would say in anything, someone's political opinions are not the sum of their character. I think reasonable minds can disagree. So I think that I wouldn't allow that to be a deal breaker if there are if you think the person has good character and is the type of person that you would want to spend time with. You know, I think.
I don't know. I don't want to be heteronormative here, but I would imagine that if you are a woman, you probably don't have a lot of patience for a man who doesn't think that you should have control over your own body.
Look, we don't. There's
that would be a tough thing for me to get over.
The thing is, there's a lot of evidence that goes against that, though. Unfortunately. Yeah. That's where we're at.
All.
Yeah.
I was trying to be inclusive.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
By the way, Shay, you're in the chat. We need a bean update. What's going on with the bean? Let us know. We need some bean stuff.
Okay, we got 11 minutes left.
We got 11 minutes. We need bean talk here. I do think, and it does feel like the appetite for this is ravenous. At some point in the offseason, we need a full episode of just Zach relationship advice.
I don't think so.
Valentine's Day.
Zach, really?
Valentine's Day. That's a great idea.
Instead of V-Day, it's Z-Day.
Oh, love that. That is a great idea.
I would just say...
It's your favorite thing. It's a mailbag episode. Just the mailbag. The questions have to be about relationship. Honestly,
just treat everyone with respect, lead with empathy, and that's... if you treat people with respect and you lead with empathy, you should be able to build meaningful relationships with any well-intentioned, well-reasoned person. I feel like and I do think that I think diversity is a wonderful thing in terms of diversity of in all facets, whether be open to people of all. Genders, religions, races, and even thought. I think be open to all people. Yeah. That's what that. So from the purpose of meaningful relationships, I think that's the case. All relationships with the idea of I want to have a meaningful relationship with you. Then I think that's very helpful.
Okay.
So. That's my relationship advice.
10 more minutes.
Shay said he'll send an update when he can.
Oh, Shay continuing to pretend as if he's not the one involved, it sounds like. I don't know the story.
Probably on the Discord right now, right?
There you go.
There you go.
10 more minutes until the deadline. Certainly seems like we're not going to get something. It's going to be a little bit of a fizzle here, but that's okay. We had a lot to talk about.
Bryce Young, he's remaining with the Panthers.
Couldn't get a deal.
Sorry for him. Yeah. That's too bad. Okay.
If I were Miami, I feel like I would have probably had that discussion.
That's
Absolutely.
the one, right?
Yeah. I mean, Vegas
Skill
too.
set seems so similar.
Yeah, Vegas too.
Yeah, but
but if I'm the Panthers, by the way, I'm rolling with Bryce Young the rest of the year. Like I don't get why.
Right, exactly.
I wouldn't go back to Andy Dalton. He showed some promise this past week. I didn't watch that full game, but I watched more than the highlights of it. And I was impressed actually when I went back and looked through the quick part of that game. One guy who jumped out to me there was Jatavian Sanders, man.
Could have been that was the Jalix Hunt pick.
Yeah, Jatavian Sanders really showed some pop in that game.
I think I was actually thinking about this. So, obviously you guys had the trade deadline show last week, and just having the conversations about what they could have done today if they don't do anything in the next 8 minutes. I actually a tight end that's actually like the anti Jatavian Sanders, like a real inline presence that can be like a dominant blocker,
like a souped up Jack Stoll.
Yeah, because honestly, like Stoll is a fine blocker, but he's not.
He's a willing blocker.
Yeah, but he's not someone that's you put him up against a defensive end and he's going to win.
Like with a O'Keefe type.
Yes, like a O'Keefe type.
Darnell Washington.
Yes, that would be to me when I look at this team with the way that they want to play.
Interesting.
Because here's what's happening: they're coming in the second half of games and they're running the ball. They get into these 4-minute drill situations and they come out in 12 personnel or 13 personnel at times, and they line up. And we're seeing them run duo a lot the last few weeks, where it's under center. The tight ends are all close to the formation, so the defense responds and they load the box and they bring everybody up, and everyone knows it's going to be a run. And you've got the tight end Grant Calcaterra lined up against Eric Armstead on the backside, like one-on-one. Like Rick Armstead's been a defensive tackle in the NFL for a long time. He's playing defensive end now for the Jaguars. I'll give Grant a lot of credit. He got a win on one of those plays, but he's not going to win a lot of those battles. To me, like, I would start to experiment with getting some more like 6 offensive line personnel sets. If they're not going to get that, they're probably not going to get that extra tight end now. So I'd get like Tyler Steen on the field and put him as the extra tight end. And trying, because if they know you're going to run it anyway, like that's what you see in Detroit. That's what they're doing with Dan Campbell constantly. They're bringing that 6th offensive line on in those must-have it situations and just saying, stop us. We're going to run the ball. I think they kind of need to start leaning into that a little bit.
The Eagles have done that in the past with Alan Barber being one of the guys that they did that with.
We haven't seen it really from Nick.
Yeah.
No. You know who they're doing that with in Detroit?
Coyote.
Coyote. That's right.
Come on. Boy. Absolutely. I know what I'm talking about.
What are you guys' thoughts? I mean, look, we don't know like how long AJ could be hurt moving forward, but what does that mean for the offense now? I would assume, Zach, what do you think? Dallas Goedert back this week?
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. I would think the fact that they didn't put him on IR now, I get you want to preserve the possibility, but this is if he doesn't play this week, I can't imagine he's back on the following Thursday. Like he wouldn't even have a practice in, right? So
unless you're saving them for Thursday.
Unless you're saving them for
Dallas,
Thursday.
because
Dallas unless you're just looking past Dallas.
Right.
Yeah, what'd you make of the Eagles adding another Dallas to the practice squad?
Yeah, I thought of you. Dallas Gant. They let go of Braden Daniels. I was excited for Braden Daniels. I didn't even get a chance to talk to him.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And he spells his name interestingly.
A-E.
Yeah.
That's
the question is with no AJ Brown.
Yes.
If they have no AJ Brown.
Right.
I'm curious. I know you said that it seemed like Johnny Wilson was the number 3 in this game. Dotson did outsnap him, and it did seem a little bit more tilted towards the first half with Johnny Wilson. I would imagine if it's a game where they don't have AJ Brown, then Dotson's going to get a lot of run, and this is his chance. It felt like he's had that chance before, but now that at least Jalen Hurts has seen him catch the ball down the field, he'll be involved. But yeah, I would certainly imagine they're going to lean heavily on the running game and probably 12 personnel.
Johnny Wilson had a touchdown in the game. Obviously came back out of the OPI, but Jalen did see it happen with his own eyes. He did catch a touchdown, so that plays in his favor.
That's true.
Would you, if a team's like getting, if it's one of those Preston or not even Preston Smith, who was the guy who was traded? Tre'Davious White.
Yep.
Was like the 2028 7th round pick for the 2027 7th round pick. If you could do one of those deals and get like a veteran wide receiver, would you do it, or would you just roll with the guys you have? Like an Adam Thielen type, but
I don't think they need that.
Okay.
And I also like what they have is a collection of varied skill sets right now. So it's not like you need the blocking version of a wide receiver because you have Johnny Wilson, you have Jahan Dotson to give a little bit something different. Yeah, I don't think they need that.
If the prognosis on AJ came back differently, I'd probably think about it. Yeah, I'd think about it. But I think if you're expecting that AJ is out a week or two, then I think you're probably okay standing pat.
Now, I don't know if Howie Roseman's going to speak to us no matter what, but let's say Howie Roseman did, and they don't make a trade, and he says, really, the way we're looking at it is James Bradbury's our big trade deadline acquisition.
Oh, yeah,
You're like, the guy who's coming off IR at some point, right? What if we traded for a guy who was a 2-time Pro Bowl?
Yeah, well, you know what? We that does remind me. We did talk about who could be next to be released to get a roster spot. I mean, Tristan McCollum is
Tristan McCollum, Nick Gates,
it's certainly possible.
And then I got to see what happens with Jack Stoll. I mean, maybe they carry 4 tight ends, but like we said, at some point, Britton Covey's going to come back. I don't think they're going to have 6 wide receivers and 4 tight ends on the roster. So. They're going to have to decide, do you go lighter at, are you willing to not have that blocking tight end? In which case they would have to lean into what Fran said, where in 12, am I boring you?
Oh, boy.
He took a big yawn. I thought that was they took to play Tyler Steen in 12 personnel.
Super chat from Jalen Alsico Diomede says Z-Day. So the uproar continues in support of that. And White and Crispy says, if Howie could get any non-quarterback on the block, who would it be?
Myles Garrett.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's on the block.
Right, yeah, I guess that's true, yeah.
I would probably say Azeez Ojulari, right? Now, of like a reasonable guy at this point. He's probably I think he would be the best edge rusher who would be moved at this point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming, your Myles Garrett, Max Crosby is not being moved. I don't know if Jadeveon Clowney does anything for you.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. That would probably be it.
Yeah.
In terms of the realistic names that have been talked about.
We're a minute away. Doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
This would be the upset. If
Scott has a super chat. He says, Bo, I'll vote for the candidate of your choice if you admit Marissa Dunn won the 2022 Super Bowl.
Wow.
Wow.
Scott, I'm going to need you to submit another super chat and tell me what state you live in, please.
This is the most amount of super chats we've ever had.
it has to be,
It's
right?
gotta be.
great.
Yeah.
Vince is pumped. Yeah.
To me, this is, I would have to say, a business reason for us to talk more politics.
I was thinking today, and I saw this clip online. My favorite. No, I'm not advising anyone to do this. Of course, I made my big plea to vote, and this is an apolitical thing. It's just as a fan of comedy. I loved I love that.
Yeah,
Curb
you a Hinchcliffe guy?
No, I love that Curb Your Enthusiasm episode when Larry sees the long line and he turns to the guy in front of him and says, "Who are you voting for?" And they were voting for different people. He's like, "So we cancel each other out. Let's
get out of here."
leave." And then it was decided by one vote. Yeah. So that was a great. Did you see that one?
That was a good one.
No.
You didn't see, okay. All right.
You're going to get no cells from now on. You have to know that.
Why? Because of the yawn comment?
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if Bo was in the middle of a point and I was just like, like what would your reaction be? I think you'd be incredulous.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Ding, ding, ding. It's 4:00.
The Eagles just put out a tweet. Let's see here. The Eagles have released Albert Okwuegbunam.
Wow.
They didn't let him get to. What?
You gotta be kidding me! Dylan McMahon should be on the team.
Oh, jeez! I thought like Bo said that and I didn't hear it. That's what. Okay.
Oh,
God.
he'll be back on the practice
I
squad.
can't believe that.
What has Dylan McMahon done?
But the Eagles
for the
did
Rams?
burn a return to.
I'm going to let you recover.
There's no recovering from that. Let's hope that's the worst news of the day.
His 21-day practice window. I did not know why you reacted that way. I got worried that like he said this and I wasn't hearing it or something. Yeah. Vincent, the pencils down deadline has passed. That's from Diana Rossini. That is an annual joke.
I cannot believe they did that. They strung this thing along. They could have just waived him at the deadline at the 53-man cutdown. Nobody was going to claim him, and then they could have just kept him on the practice squad. They wouldn't have had to go through this whole rigmarole.
Dylan McMahon has played no snaps for the Rams this year.
I know.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right.
He doesn't have to play this year. He's a player you keep in the pipeline.
So there is a last-minute trade here. The Texans are trading Khalil Davis to the 49ers in exchange for a 2026 7th-round pick. So the 49ers add to their defensive line.
Kind of. He's fine, Khalil Davis.
But yeah, I would imagine that there's no
God,
move
this
from the
Albert
Eagles
O thing,
because
I cannot
Albert
believe this.
Okwuegbunam.
Well,
Yeah.
You're right. They could not keep four tight ends and 6 receivers.
Yep. Yeah. So that's what it comes down to. So that shows you Jack Stoll is the third tight end on this team.
And Jack Stoll was not part of the equation.
No, he was
was
not.
not part of the equation. Yeah, but I'm saying that he wasn't even yet released. by
No,
the Giants at that point,
exactly. He was not released at that point.
No, but it's not like their skill sets are similar in any way.
right?
No, true.
All right.
No. This is pretty good.
That's not a super chat. I don't acknowledge it.
Let me see here. So something else to note, by the way, and I think this is from a roster building perspective. The other relevant thing about the trade deadline is from here on out, every player who is released is now subject to waivers. So therefore, a good team is less likely to get a player who is cut if they're attractive. That player would either need to fall to you in the 20s, which the Eagles would be on the waiver wire, or would need to clear waivers. And so if you remember, for instance, Randy Moss was once waived at this point of the calendar, and he was picked up. He was claimed on waivers. When the Eagles, when they released Devin White, one of the things they said is that they'll make that financial deal at the time, because if they waited till after the trade deadline, Devin White wouldn't be able to pick his team.
There you go. All right, Scott has a super chat, and he says, "I live in Texas." Now, when I need a super chat, I'm gonna need a photo verification. I actually don't even remember the 2022 Super.
Oh,
so,
shocker!
Sure, Marissa won. Go vote.
Let's see here. Yeah, so look, the Eagles announced that, so I can't imagine that. And by the way, they released him when they did, in part so he's not on waivers, I imagine, right? But
That's a good call. That's a good point.
But I don't.
No, but didn't they say they waived him?
No. Did they waive him? Or I think they said they released him because he is a vested veteran at this point. Yeah, the Eagles released Albert Okwuegbunam. So had they waited until tomorrow, he would have gone on waivers. They made that determination, so they announced it at like 3:50. They put it out at 4:00 actually. So,
but presumably they did it right before.
Presumably they did it earlier. So the Eagles made a trade for Albert O last year. They made him a priority signing, and nothing happened. And they used a return. They used a return.
Trevor Keegan hasn't been active a single time.
Yeah. Someone said, by the way, when I put that out, I'm sorry, Bo Wulf knew Dylan McMahon ran incoming, so they know you. This was Anik, AVJ 1083.
Anik's my man. All right, that'll do it for the PHLY Eagles trade deadline spectacular. Back tomorrow, 2:00, Jamie and Rich. And then in studio on Thursday, the three of us back together. Dane is on Friday ahead of the Eagles-Cowboys game on Sunday with no Dak Prescott. Will it be Cooper Rush or Trey Lance? What do you think, Fran?
Cooper Rush. It better be, because I got to rewatch the game where he played a couple years ago.
All right, well, there you go. Enjoy the day, everybody. May you live it with as little stress as possible. Gonna be tough. Make sure you vote, most of you. And that'll do it. And for all the people who have asked for the Zach election show, just make sure you send him hit him up in your DMs. I'm sure he's got a link for you.
We raised literally how much money was spent on the Zach election show? North of $30.
Puts the company in like a conflicting position here. You want to raise money.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to make money, but you don't want to talk politics. Yeah. This was fun. I always enjoy doing 2-hour shows.
Me too. Julia, thank you for making it happen.
Thank you, Julia.
Behind the scenes. And thanks to everybody for watching live and all of you who are listening. After the fact, we will talk to you tomorrow. The Eagles don't do anything except make us very angry with one minor transaction. That's okay.
Us is a strong word.
and only the second time, I believe, in the past 7 years that they haven't made an
in-season move. Yes.
Yeah,
and the other one was 2020.
2020.
So now I would imagine they would quibble and say that Dotson was an in-season move, but by post week one, this is the first time.
Maybe it's an election year thing.
Maybe it's an election year thing. There you go. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles Podcast. Thanks to everybody for watching and listening. We will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.